Warrior Lore. Chapter 599. Who's he? Lin Feng murmured. He was extremely shocked to see a cultivator sitting cross-legged here. Lin Feng released his divine will and carefully sensed the cultivator. He was shocked. This cultivator did not have any aura of life. He was not alive. He was already dead. Could it be the eternal divine sovereign? Someone said so. His tone was very excited. If it was the eternal divine sovereign, it would be too shocking. The corpse of an ancient, eternal divine sovereign was priceless. Whoosh! Someone could not wait any longer and rushed forward. Instantly, the scene was in chaos. Many cultivators rushed over because they saw the ring on the eternal divine sovereign's hand. It was definitely a storage ring. No one knew if the eternal divine palace really existed. It was just a rumor. But the eternal divine sovereign's corpse was here, and there was also his storage ring. The eternal divine sword and the eternal divine sovereign's inheritance might be in the storage ring. This was enough to make anyone go crazy. Clang! A great battle broke out. Many people were fighting in a chaotic melee. It was an extremely tragic battle. Die, kid! A tall cultivator punched at Lin Feng. Scram! Lin Feng shouted coldly and punched back. His fist shook heaven and earth as it swept out. He sent the tall cultivator flying with one punch. Crack, crack. The tall cultivator's arm was broken. His face was pale. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate. He was afraid that Lin Feng would kill him, so he quickly distanced himself from Lin Feng. Lin Feng stepped towards the eternal divine sovereign's corpse. His divine fist swept through everything in his way. One cultivator after another was sent flying by Lin Feng. Get rid of this kid. More than 10 cultivators shouted coldly as they rushed towards Lin Feng. Slash! Lin Feng shouted coldly. He slashed out with Sky Splitter, and the blade light pierced through heaven and earth. 3 cultivators were killed, while the rest were heavily injured and luckily managed to escape the calamity. This attack was so terrifying that it shocked everyone. Lin Feng was the first to rush to the Eternal God's side. However, he was soon surrounded and attacked by more than 10 top geniuses. These top prodigies had all comprehended spirit very early on. Some of them were even like Lin Feng, who had not only comprehended spirit, moreover, they'd even comprehended force. So, it was easy to imagine how terrifying these people were. The lethality of their joint attack was truly too terrifying. How shameless! You're ganging up on me. Lin Feng cursed and had no choice but to retreat quickly. Many geniuses' faces darkened. Now that everyone was fighting for the eternal divine emperor's corpse and storage ring, they naturally could not let him have his way. Was it wrong to attack him? After Lin Feng was forced into a corner, these top geniuses also started fighting. Boom! At this moment, the black-robed woman from the Myriad Demons sect made her move. She walked towards the eternal divine lord's corpse. The people of the 10,000 Demons sect are too arrogant. A top-notch sky pride sneered and charged towards the black-robed woman. Bang! The black-robed woman swung her jade-like fist and sent a top-tier heaven's favorite flying. How is this possible? Many people exclaimed in disbelief. Only Lin Feng knew what was going on. The black-robed woman had used some terrifying technique to suppress her cultivation level from the Yin-Yang realm to the peak of the Martial King realm. But this woman must have paid a heavy price to suppress her cultivation level. Because this was how the world worked, you had to pay a heavy price for what you gained. The exchange of power was equivalent. For example, Lin Feng's ordinary secret techniques did not consume too much energy, but the power of such techniques was limited. If he used a secret technique like the destruction of the Tao, the power would be enough to destroy the heavens and earth. But Lin Feng's energy would be instantly depleted by 90%. A large consumption of energy in exchange for a large amount of battle power. This woman had suppressed her cultivation level for the same reason. She must have paid a heavy price for it. This woman is terrifying. She seems to have suppressed her cultivation level from the Yin-Yang realm to the Martial King realm. Let's fight her together, shouted Lin Feng. Everyone was shocked. The dozen or so top fighters did not say anything else. They all charged towards the black-robed woman. Eat my fist, shouted Lin Feng coldly. He threw a punch. Bang! But a moment later, the black-robed woman swept him away. The black-robed woman was too strong. She had the power to crush him. Lin Feng was not the only one who had been swept away. Even Ouyang Shiyu, Yi Xingqian, and the other top fighters had been swept away by the black-robed woman. They were not on the same level at all. The black-robed woman had already arrived in front of the Eternal Emperor's corpse. She stretched out her hand, wanting to collect the corpse. Ancient haste. But at that moment, an endless amount of light emerged from the Eternal Emperor's body. A deep voice suddenly filled the air. That's... Everyone was astonished. A moment later, everyone felt dizzy. An endless amount of light flooded the area. When Lin Feng came back to his senses, he realized that he had disappeared from the island. He had disappeared from under the ancient tree. The people in front of him had disappeared. He had arrived in another world. An illusion? Lin Feng was shocked. This had to be an illusion created by the Eternal Emperor. He had just heard the words ancient haste, but he did not know what they meant. Then he had appeared here. This was an ancient city with no one around. But a moment later, the city became extremely lively. People came and went. Lin Feng tried to communicate with the others, but he was ignored. The people here could not see him at all. Lin Feng could only smile bitterly. The Eternal Emperor was really terrifying. He had been dead for tens of thousands of years, but the illusion he created was still so terrifying. In the distance, a 15 or 16-year-old boy walked over. He was very handsome. Many people pointed at him and whispered, "He's the crippled Morong Yongheng. He's about to be crowned, but he still can't cultivate." TSK, TSK. If his father hadn't been the clan leader, he would have been kicked out of the Morong family long ago. Many people pointed at him and mocked him. In the distance, strange beasts appeared. There were more than 10 cultivators. Some of them were riding strange beasts. Behind them, there were 4 strange beasts pulling a bronze carriage. The leader of the group was a young man. "Hey, isn't that Morong Yongheng?" said the young man in a strange tone. "Zhang Su, it's you." Morong Yongheng frowned. "It's been 3 years, right? What? You still can't cultivate?" Zhang Su looked at Morong Yongheng mockingly. "Cultivate? You'll know soon enough," said Morong Yongheng. "Haha. The Morong family has been waiting for you for 16 years, but you still can't cultivate," said Zhang Su. Morong Yongheng smiled. Morong Yongheng clenched his fists. His expression was unsightly. At that moment, a gentle and pleasant voice came from the bronze carriage. "Morong Yongheng, we haven't seen each other in a long time," said a woman in snow-white clothes. Many people cried out in surprise when they saw the woman. She was like a celestial being who had descended to the mortal world. Chapter 600. Morong Yongheng? That's an eternal divine sovereign in his youth? Lin Feng stared at the young man in astonishment. He had never thought that he would be pulled into an illusory world and see an eternal divine sovereign in his youth. Eternal divine sovereigns can't cultivate when they're young? Lin Feng was surprised. Shiqi. Morong Yongheng was very happy to see her. In the past, Zhang Shiqi had lived in the Morong clan for a long time. They could be considered childhood sweethearts. Moreover, they had been engaged since they were young. Unlike the joy she had when she met him in the past, the current Zhang Shiqi looked at Morong Yongheng with indifference. Morong Yongheng was a very sensitive person. He immediately sensed that something was wrong. "Yongheng, tomorrow, I will go to the Morong clan with the elders," said Zhang Shiqi. Zhang Shiqi said, and then left with the group. Lin Feng rubbed his chin. What did Zhang Shiqi want to do? Lin Feng followed Morong Yongheng to the Morong clan. On the second day, Zhang Shiqi and her clansmen arrived at the Morong clan. The great elder of the clan, Zhang Zuping, accompanied Zhang Shiqi. "Yongheng and Shiqi are about to reach adulthood. Are you here to discuss the marriage?" asked Morong Yongheng's father, Morong Kaifeng. "Have you heard of the Taishang Celestial Dynasty?" asked Zhang Zuping with a smile. "Is it the Taishang Celestial Dynasty from the Supreme Ancient Era?" asked Morong Kaifeng in astonishment. "That's right. The Taishang Celestial Dynasty is high and lofty." Morong Kaifeng nodded. "To us, it's indeed a lofty and ancient power." Morong Kaifeng nodded. "Shiqi is lucky. Speaking of which, Shiqi is really lucky." When she was training, she got to know the third prince of one of the supreme immortal dynasty's kings. Zhang Zuping smiled. When he heard that, Morong Kaifeng's expression changed drastically. As for the great elder of the Morong clan, he smiled coldly. They had always wanted to seize the position of the leader of the Morong clan, but they hadn't had the chance. Now, they seemed to have seen some signs. "Brother Zhang, what are you trying to say?" Morong Kaifeng asked in a deep voice. At that moment, Zhang Shiqi said, "I've already pledged my life to that crown prince, so I can no longer fulfill my engagement with Morong Yongheng. I've come here to annul the engagement between our two families." Morong Kaifeng's body suddenly trembled. He never thought that these people had such intentions. Endless anger rose in his heart. In the past, it was the Zhang clan who had begged for this marriage. Now, he had to go back on his word. "I wish you happiness." Morong Yongheng walked over with a marriage contract in his hand. He tore it into pieces and grinned at Zhang Shiqi. "Eternal." Morong Kaifeng looked at his son with heartache. "At least you know your place. A toad can't eat swan meat." Zhang Su said sarcastically. Zhang Shiqi did not even look at Morong Yongheng as she left with the rest of the Zhang family. Soon, the Morong family's situation changed, and the Great Elder's branch impeached the clan leader. He had committed 2 crimes. First, his son had no talent for cultivation and had no heir to inherit the position of patriarch. Second, his son's fiancée had annulled the engagement, bringing shame to the clan. Morong Kaifeng had been removed from the position of patriarch, and his son had been persecuted by the Great Elder's branch. They had no choice but to leave the Morong family. Along the way, Morong Kaifeng had been killed in order to save Morong Yongheng. "What a tragic life," Lin Feng murmured. He looked at Morong Yongheng, who had buried his father in the rain. He looked at the young man kneeling in front of Morong Kaifeng's grave. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. Who would have thought that the eternal divine emperor, who had dominated the ancient times, would have such a tragic life? On the day of his 16th birthday, Morong Yongheng's body was burning. He was lying in a valley, unconscious. It was raining heavily. Lin Feng wanted to carry Morong Yongheng to a place where they could shelter him from the rain, but he was just a passerby in this world. There was nothing he could do. He could only watch silently. At that moment, Lin Feng saw a shocking scene. Morong Yongheng's body was filled with divine light, and his dantian became dazzling. What shocked Lin Feng was that Morong Yongheng didn't have a martial spirit. No wonder he can't cultivate. He doesn't have a martial spirit. Lin Feng shook his head. But at that moment, the power of billions of stars gathered. A world of stars appeared in Morong Yongheng's dantian. In this world of stars, there was a divine sun, a bright moon, a dazzling group of stars, a divine palace, a jade palace, and a myriad of living things. Myriad world martial spirit. Lin Feng was shocked. His face revealed an extremely shocked expression. It was actually a legendary martial spirit. The myriad world martial spirit was one of the most mysterious martial spirits. It showed countless images of the myriad world. But because it was so mysterious, there was no description of the myriad world martial spirit. "My martial spirit has finally awakened." Morong Yongheng opened his eyes. Lin Feng touched his chin. He hadn't thought that this would happen. It seemed that the awakening of such a terrifying martial spirit required certain conditions. This was indeed a heaven-defying martial spirit. In 10 years, Morong Yongheng's cultivation base had crossed several major realms, and he had become a god. Lin Feng was extremely shocked. This kind of cultivation speed was too fast. It was simply inconceivable. And at that time, a desperate battle between gods had erupted. Gods, Buddhas, devils, demons, ghosts, and all kinds of living beings had participated in that battle. The battle had spread far and wide, and countless planets with life had been affected. The world Morong Yongheng was in wasn't the martial heaven continent, but another world. In that battle, the heavenly devils had invaded that world, and countless powers had been destroyed. Morong Yongheng had led the experts of that world to rise up and resist. The battle had been extremely fierce, and countless powers had been destroyed. But in the end, Morong Yongheng had led many experts to defeat the invading heavenly devils. Countless experts had come to pay respects to Morong Yongheng. It's him. Zhang Shiqi was among them. She was extremely shocked to see Morong Yongheng. How is this possible? This included the Morong family as well. The great elder had fulfilled his wish to become the clan leader. When they saw that the person who was revered as a god by countless people was the boy who had escaped from their pursuit in the past, everyone's hearts sank to the bottom of the valley. Yongheng, how have you been these years? One night, Zhang Shiqi saw Morong Yongheng. Her eyes were filled with endless longing. However, all of the characters had disappeared without a trace. Damn, what happened after that? That bitch Zhang Shiqi still has the nerve to look for Morong Yongheng? Lin Feng couldn't help but feel gloomy. Because the content had disappeared, he didn't know what had happened after that. He didn't know how Morong Yongheng would treat Zhang Shiqi, who had betrayed him back then. He also didn't know how Morong Yongheng would treat the first elder who had tried to kill him and his father. Chapter 601. Why has everyone disappeared? Why haven't I left this world? Lin Feng frowned. He had seen some things about the eternal divine emperor when he was young. Logically speaking, he should have returned to reality by now. But the reality was that Lin Feng was still in this illusory world. He couldn't leave. I'm trapped here. Lin Feng frowned. This was troublesome. If he was trapped here, how could he leave? Lin Feng's expression became serious. He went to many places, but he didn't find anything. Everyone seemed to have disappeared. There were no birds or beasts in the forest. No way, brother eternal divine emperor. I saw you in the rain and wanted to carry you to a place where you wouldn't get wet. I'm such a kind person, but you want to trap me in this damned place? Lin Feng was very depressed. This was a desolate world. There was no life. It was as if he was the only person in this world. It was enough to drive people crazy. Lin Feng searched many places, but he didn't find any life. He didn't even see Ouyang Shiyu and the others. Logically speaking, they should have entered the eternal divine emperor's world. Why weren't they here? That was what puzzled Lin Feng the most. He felt that this forest was full of evil. I should cultivate. I hope that when I'm strong enough, I'll be able to find some clues. Lin Feng sighed. He had discovered something shocking. The dragon-seeking incantation could be used in this world. Lin Feng relied on the dragon-seeking incantation to find many spiritual mines. He dug out dozens of top-quality spirit stones. Lin Feng relied on them to cultivate. Cultivation was endless. When Lin Feng woke up, he had broken through to the fourth heavenly layer of the Martial King realm. He had reached the peak of the fourth heavenly layer of the Martial King realm. As expected of a top-grade spirit stone, cultivating with a top-grade spirit stone is really fast. Lin Feng muttered. He continued to look for spiritual mines in the mountains. He wanted to dig out some top-quality spirit stones to cultivate. However, none of the spirit ores that they found later yielded any top-grade spirit stones. Lin Feng lay on the ground and looked at the sun in the sky. He couldn't help but sigh. He didn't know when these days would end. He did not know when he would be able to leave this strange world. You're actually in the mood to lie here and bask in the sun. A sneer could be heard. Lin Feng was astonished and hastily stood up. He saw a black-robed woman walking over. The black-robed woman from the Thousand Devil sect. Lin Feng's eyes were brimming with tears. How many days had it been? What he did every day was to talk to himself, look for spirit ores, mine spirit ores, and then cultivate. Or he could practice alchemy or spirit array techniques. These days were repeated over and over again. Naturally, it was very boring. Now, he finally saw a living person. Although the two of them had a grudge against each other. Lin Feng originally wanted to give the black-robed woman a bear hug, but he stopped in time because he was afraid that the black-robed woman would beat him to death. The black-robed woman sneered, "Don't worry, I won't kill you now." Lin Feng smiled and said, "Even if you want to kill me, I'm afraid you won't be able to. Although I'm not your opponent, it won't be difficult to get rid of you." The black-robed woman didn't say anything. She didn't refute him either. Her eyes shrouded in black robes looked at Lin Feng. It was unknown what she was thinking. "Have you seen anyone else?" Lin Feng asked. "I haven't. You're the first person I've seen." The black-robed woman said, "You're also the first person I've seen. How did you find me?" Lin Feng asked. The black-robed woman fell silent. She was originally in a desolate world. Not long ago, she seemed to have heard a complaining voice. She followed the voice and jumped into a lake. However, in the next moment, she appeared in this forest. Then, she saw Lin Feng lying on the ground. The cultivators who entered this world should have been separated into different spaces by a special method. However, these spaces are connected to each other. If one can find this spatial connection point, one can travel between different spaces. I must have accidentally entered such a spatial connection point. The black-robed woman said. It seems that the two of us are fated, Lin Feng said with a smile that wasn't a smile. In front of me, you'd better watch your mouth. Don't talk nonsense to me. Otherwise, you'll know the consequences. The black-robed woman looked coldly at Lin Feng. I've always been honest. Lin Feng grinned. After that, he and the black-robed woman cultivated together. It was rare that the two of them didn't fight. Perhaps the black-robed woman also hated the feeling of being alone in a desolate and silent world. After a long time, it would make people go crazy. Ah, this is my top-grade spirit stone. Lin Feng roared in grief and indignation. He had dug out 5 top-grade spirit stones with great difficulty, but 4 of them were snatched away by the black-robed woman. I want it. The black-robed woman coldly snorted. Her expression said that even if you don't agree, you have to agree. Lin Feng wanted to cry but had no tears. Then, Lin Feng's miserable life began. Every time he dug out a top-grade spirit stone, the black-robed woman would snatch away a few pieces. If he was lucky, he would be able to keep 2 pieces. If he was unlucky, then only 1 piece would be left. There was no time in the days here. There was no cycle of spring and autumn, nor was there any change in yin and yang. The eternal day was the world here. Lin Feng's cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds. His cultivation had reached the 7th layer of the Martial King realm. Lin Feng would often find the black-robed woman to spar with. The black-robed woman was really too strong. Every time Lin Feng went to spar with her, he would inevitably be beaten up. But this time, Lin Feng seized the opportunity. Before the black-robed woman could send him flying, he directly pushed her to the ground. Bastard, let go of me. The black-robed woman's voice clearly became a little flustered. It seems like every dog has its day. Now that you've fallen into my hands, how do you think I should punish you? Lin Feng smiled evilly. Do you believe that I won't kill you? The black-robed woman's voice was ice-cold. Lin Feng said helplessly, I was just joking. Actually, I've always wanted to see what you look like. Don't even think about it. The black-robed woman snorted coldly. Lin Feng took advantage of the fact that she wasn't paying attention and pulled off the veil covering her face. A delicate and beautiful face the size of a palm suddenly appeared in front of Lin Feng's eyes. This was a face so beautiful that it could take one's breath away. A pair of eyes that were filled with spirituality, long eyelashes, black eyebrows, a straight nose, and red lips that were as gentle as jade. Every single one of her facial features was beautiful to the extreme, and when combined together, it could even be called a heavenly beauty. You bastard! Feeling Lin Feng's burning gaze, the black-robed woman blushed. She wanted to push Lin Feng away, but she was firmly held down by Lin Feng. After being beaten for so long, I'm a real man. I won't argue with you. Lin Feng grinned. Then hurry up and let go of me. The black-robed woman's face was red. Lin Feng lowered his head and with lightning speed, he lightly kissed her pink lips. The black-robed woman suddenly felt her mind go blank. Her face was so red that it could drip blood. Chapter 602. My first kiss is gone. Just like that? That was the only thought in the black-robed woman's mind. Then, she was filled with endless anger. Lin Feng, I'm going to kill you. She sent Lin Feng flying with a slap. Lin Feng flew dozens of miles before crashing to the ground. Musiya, are you trying to kill your husband? Said Lin Feng, rubbing his chest. He couldn't help but feel depressed. The black-robed woman told Lin Feng that her name was Musiya, but Lin Feng did not know if that was her real name. You bastard! I'm going to cut you into pieces. Musiya shouted angrily and rushed toward Lin Feng. Her first kiss was stolen. It seemed that she was furious. However, at that moment, the deep voice spoke again. Time immemorial rush. As the voice spoke, Lin Feng and Mu Xie were shocked to find that their bodies were wrapped up by a powerful force. Countless images flashed through their minds. These images were everything they had seen and heard in this world. Swoosh. In the next moment, Lin Feng felt himself being wrapped up by a powerful force and disappeared from this world. 5 years have passed, but only a moment has passed in the outside world. Some cultivators exclaimed. Everyone returned to reality. How could this be? 5 years have passed in that mysterious world? Damn it, I've been looking for a way out and haven't been able to calm down and cultivate. Me too. If I knew that 5 years in there was only a breath of time in the outside world, I would have cultivated diligently and seized the 5 years I stole from the heavens. Many cultivators wailed, their expressions full of regret. Time immemorial rush. Lin Feng murmured. It was terrifying. Had he stayed in that mysterious world for 5 years? But only a breath of time had passed in the outside world. Only a breath of time had passed. Lin Feng recalled everything that had happened in that world. In an extremely short period of time, he had seen the eternal God's life, from the annulment of his marriage at the age of 15 and the tragic death of his father to the reign of the heavens at the age of 26 and quelling the chaos of the heavenly demons at the age of 30. It should have only taken him a few days to finish reading all these. The rest of the time was free time to cultivate. Fortunately, he didn't waste those 5 years like other people. Furthermore, in the past 5 years, his cultivation had improved rapidly. He had now broken through to the 7th heaven of the Martial King realm. Spirit Array Masters and Alchemists should have also reached the Earth rank. It was absolutely heaven-defying. It was all thanks to the 5 years of time he had snatched from the heavens in that mysterious world. My body's 100 acupoints are like the starry sky. Time flows in the blink of an eye, defying the heavens and seizing life. 5 years have passed in a flash. A deep voice resounded throughout the area. The eternal God's body shone brightly as his meridians gave off a dazzling divine light. An acupoint was a divine abode. So this was the so-called eternal divine palace. Let's go in again. A cultivator shouted and charged towards the eternal divine Lord. He wanted to enter that mysterious world again just like before. In the time it took for a breath outside, it was 5 years inside. A few more rounds. This was heaven-defying. Cultivators were seizing life from the heavens and buying time from the heavens. The world that the eternal divine Lord had created was too terrifying. However, the eternal divine Lord's body emitted a dazzling light that swept away all the cultivators who approached. The eternal divine Lord's body was gradually dissipating. No, give us another chance. Many cultivators shouted. They were unwilling to let the eternal divine Lord's body dissipate just like that. They had missed 5 years of time just like that. It was 5 years of rapid cultivation improvement. It could be said that seizing life from the heavens for 5 years was the greatest opportunity in the Thunderblade's secret realm. However, many people didn't cherish it. It wasn't until they came out of that mysterious world and understood everything that they regretted it. However, the eternal divine Lord still dissipated in the end. Ouyangshi said, "This isn't his real body. It should be a space-time imprint. The cultivators who have gone through untold hardships to come here will get this opportunity." Lin Feng nodded. The opportunity that the eternal divine Lord left for the future generations was not a magic treasure or a secret technique, but time. For cultivators, time was the most precious thing. "My lord, should we kill that kid?" Xiao Mayu looked at Mu Xie and asked. Mu Xie looked at Lin Feng and sighed. Logically, she should kill Lin Feng because of his relationship with the Thousand Demon sect. However, Mu Xie realized that she could no longer harden her heart to kill Lin Feng. Lin Feng glanced at Mu Xie. Mu Xie quickly looked away, not daring to look at Lin Feng. She looked at Xiao Mayu and said, "This is not a good place to fight." Yes. Xiao Mayu naturally didn't dare to ask too many questions. Buzz. At this moment, a cold light came from above Lin Feng. Everyone looked over and was greatly shocked. This was actually a one-armed black-clothed man. He held a cold sword in his hand and descended from the sky. What a terrifying killing intent. Who is this person? Why does he want to kill that kid? He seems to be from the Assassin Dynasty. What? Assassin Dynasty? An assassin from 9 underworlds? Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. If he was an assassin from 9 underworlds, then it was too terrifying. Anyone who was targeted by an assassin from 9 underworlds would not have a good ending. An assassin from 9 underworlds. Huaxia's expression became a little nervous when she saw the assassin coming at Lin Feng. I let you escape last time, but you still dare to assassinate me. Assassin from 9 underworlds. Was it Shen Ziqing who sent you to kill me last time? Shen Ziqing is dead, but you still want to assassinate me. It seems that the rumor that 9 underworlds assassins accept a mission and complete it regardless of whether the employer is dead or not is true. However, you've assassinated the wrong person. Die. Lin Feng shouted coldly and waved his right hand. Whoosh, a sword chi directly slashed towards the black-clothed assassin who was attacking from above. At the moment when Lin Feng attacked, another assassin wearing black clothes appeared behind Lin Feng without making any sound. The first assassin in black was just a feint. The second assassin in black was the real assassin who wanted to kill Lin Feng. The assassin in black thrust his sword at Lin Feng. The second assassin in black has appeared. The 9 underworlds assassins have sent 2 assassins to kill that kid. He can't dodge that sword. He's going to be killed by the 9 underworlds assassins. Many people cried out in alarm. Oh no. Musia's expression changed again and again. She wanted to save him, but it was too late. Musia didn't know why she wanted to save Lin Feng. When she saw that Lin Feng was about to be killed by the 9 underworlds assassins, her heart was filled with endless panic and helplessness. Why did she have such a feeling? What did he have to do with her? Musia felt a faint pain in her heart. I knew there was a second assassin hiding in the surroundings, waiting for you to appear. At that moment, Lin Feng's cold laughter woke Musia up. She looked at Lin Feng and saw a distorted black hole condense around Lin Feng. The 2 assassins in black were surrounded by the distorted black hole and couldn't move. Poof, poof. In the blink of an eye, the 2 assassins' heads were cut off by Lin Feng. Blood splashed everywhere. Chapter 603. The surroundings were silent. Everyone looked at Lin Feng as if they were looking at a monster. The assassin from 9 Nether had a powerful killing technique. He was about to kill Lin Feng, but in the end, the assassin was killed in an instant. Wasn't that kid too terrifying? Isn't that the guy who escaped from the canyon? A cultivator from Deity Sword Manor whispered to Yi Xingchen. Yi Xingchen nodded, his eyes flashing with killing intent. He said, "That's right, it's that kid. No wonder the junior brothers who went after him died tragically. This kid's cultivation is beyond our expectations." Yi Xingchen seemed to be weighing the pros and cons, deciding whether to kill Lin Feng or not. But in the end, he restrained his killing intent. This wasn't a good place to make a move, and Yi Xingchen wasn't sure if he could kill Lin Feng. "This guy didn't use his full strength when we fought before," Musia muttered. Previously, in the mysterious world, Lin Feng challenged her time and time again. But Musia taught him a lesson every time. Musia originally thought that she had a better understanding of Lin Feng's strength, but now she knew that Lin Feng was hiding his strength. Although she was dissatisfied with Lin Feng hiding his strength, she was relieved to see that Lin Feng was fine. Why should I care about him? Despicable guy. Musia glared at Lin Feng fiercely. When she thought about how Lin Feng stole her first kiss, she felt her heart beat faster. Only Musia herself knew if she was truly angry. "Lin Gongzi, are you hurt?" Ouyang Shiyu asked with concern. "I'm fine." Lin Feng smiled. Seeing how close Lin Feng and Ouyang Shiyu were, Musia couldn't help but feel irritated. She snorted coldly and walked away. Xiao Mayu and the others broke out in cold sweat. Who offended this young miss again? There were also some cultivators who continued to wander around the island, hoping to find some fortune. Lin Feng, Ouyang Shiyu, and the others did not leave immediately. He planned to use the dragon searching formula to search around and see if there were any cave dwellings here, but he did not find anything. After that, Lin Feng, Ouyang Shiyu, and the others also left. "Lin Gongzi, it won't be long before the Thunderblade's secret territory ends. Let's part ways here. This is a piece of jade that I've been carrying with me for many years. It's not anything precious. Lin Gongzi, please accept it. If you think things through in the future, you can take this token to the Longevity City. When the city lord of the Longevity City sees this jade, he will bring Lin Gongzi to the Longevity Palace. Oh Yang, she murmured. However, she suddenly remembered that the jade pendant that a woman gave to a man seemed to be a token of love. Her pretty face couldn't help but blush slightly. Lin Feng didn't think too much about it. He accepted the jade pendant and said, "Thank you, fairy." One day later, Lin Feng parted ways with Ouyang Shiyu and the others. As for Lin Feng, he kept looking for strong, ferocious beasts to challenge and test his strength. When the Thunderblade secret territory was about to open again, Lin Feng went to the Fire Demon Lord's cave. When they saw Lin Feng, they were very happy. Lin Feng sensed everyone's strength. Their cultivation levels had increased by leaps and bounds. "It seems like everyone has gained a lot," said Lin Feng with a smile. "Ah, senior brother Lin, your cultivation level has caught up with mine," said Jian Ying in surprise. Her red lips were slightly parted. She looked very attractive. Seventh celestial layer of the Martial King layer? Shi Weizhu also looked at Lin Feng in surprise. When Lin Feng had left, he was only at the third celestial layer of the Martial King layer. How many months had it been? And he was already at the seventh celestial layer of the Martial King layer? Wasn't his cultivation speed too fast? Of course, what astonished everybody the most was how strong Lin Feng was. How strong was he now? When he was at the third celestial layer of the Martial King layer, he could kill Wan Sheng, a genius who had comprehended spirit. Now that he was at the seventh celestial layer of the Martial King layer, even those geniuses who had comprehended spirit and force wouldn't be a match for Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said, "I've gone through many dangers and narrowly escaped death. However, I've also had some fortuitous encounters. That's why my cultivation has increased so quickly. Everyone, get ready. We're going to leave the Thunderblade secret territory." Everyone nodded. The Thunderblade secret territory would only open for a year. It was almost a year ago. They had to leave quickly. If they were trapped in the Thunderblade secret territory, they wouldn't be able to break through to the Yin-Yang realm because the Thunderblade secret territory would suppress their cultivation. A Martial King layer cultivator only had a lifespan of 200 years at most. The next day, everyone headed to the Thunderblade secret territory together. They didn't see Yu Fan, Han Shuo, and the others in the Thunderblade secret territory. They didn't know how they were doing. They didn't see Tian Zhongdao and the old drunkard either. However, Lin Feng wasn't worried about Tian Zhongdao and the old drunkard. Those two weren't simple characters. Many cultivators headed to the Thunderblade secret territory. In the end, everyone left the Thunderblade secret territory. When they were outside, Lin Feng saw Yu Fan and Han Shuo. When he saw that they were safe and sound, he was relieved. "You have to be on guard against Elder Xing Xian in Nebula Pavilion. I'm worried that Elder Xing Xian will vent his anger on you because of me." Lin Feng reminded them, "Don't worry. Elder Xing Qiong has been taking care of Han Shuo and me recently. He probably wants to build a good relationship with Zhong Yun through us. When Zhong Yun comes out of seclusion, I'll definitely tell him that Elder Xing Xian harmed you." Yu Fan said fiercely, "Let's forget about this. Elder Xing Xian, wait for me to become stronger. I'll deal with him personally." Lin Feng said. He and Yu Fan and Han Shuo talked for a while and then parted ways. "Brother Lin, when we get back to the sect, I'll ask you to teach me about formations," Shui Lanxian said with a red face. After saying that, she ran away as if she was escaping. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. Shui Lanxian wouldn't stick to him, right? TSK, kid, you're good. You got yourself another beautiful girl? The old drunkard appeared out of nowhere and looked at Shui Lanxuan's back as she left and clicked his tongue in wonder. Nothing good comes out of a dog's mouth. Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. Tian Zhongdao also came out with the old drunkard and gave Lin Feng a bear hug. "This time, the big sects must have lost a lot of people," Lin Feng said. Tian Zhongdao nodded. "Yes, but those who survived have improved their cultivation by leaps and bounds." The disciples of the Blue Cloud sect gathered. Elder Zhang Quan counted the number of people and found that more than 1,000 disciples didn't make it back. They probably died in the Thunderblade's secret territory. The Thunderblade's secret territory was that cruel. Cultivation itself was a cruel thing. One had to go against the will of the heavens and go through all kinds of dangers. This path was full of thorns. If one wasn't careful, they could die. Even if they broke through the yin-yang realm in the future, they would still have to go through the 3 calamities and 9 tribulations. At that time, it would be even more dangerous because any one of the 3 calamities and 9 tribulations could crush a cultivator. But even if this path was full of endless hardships, there were still countless people who fought for it. Although 9 of them died, they had no regrets. Chapter 604. After returning to the Blue Cloud sect, everything seemed to have returned to normal. However, there was a rumor in the Blue Cloud sect that a group of disciples would be joining the inner courtyard. Because of the opening of the Thunderblade's secret territory, many Blue Cloud sect disciples had advanced by leaps and bounds in the Thunderblade's secret territory. They had already reached the qualifications to join the inner courtyard. If one wanted to join the inner courtyard, they had to go through the sect's examination. The examination was naturally very strict. The 12 Peaks would normally recommend people to the inner courtyard. Those who received a recommendation would go to the outer courtyard Disciples Mountain for the qualification examination. If they passed, they could join the inner courtyard. There were many conditions to join the inner courtyard. Cultivators in the 8th celestial layer of the Martial King realm were enough to make countless people shrink back. Of course, it didn't mean that those below the 8th celestial layer of the Martial King realm couldn't join. In fact, if a cultivator with astonishing talent like Tian Zhongdao had twin martial spirits, even if their cultivation wasn't enough, they would still be accepted into the inner courtyard. Such geniuses didn't even need to go through the examination like the others. I heard that Elder Qiao Yunqiu has drawn up a list of recommendations. Our heaven-repairing peak has a total of 9 people. Junior Lin Feng won first place in the New Disciples competition and defeated 5 geniuses by himself. The higher-ups of the inner courtyard already know and have already recommended Junior Lin Feng to join the inner courtyard. Junior Tian Zhongdao has twin martial spirits, so the higher-ups of the inner courtyard think highly of him and will also join the inner courtyard. In addition, me, Junior Wang Hu, Junior Sister Shi Weizhu, Junior Sister Yang Lin, Junior Brother Zhang Tianyuan, Junior Brother Pei Junyang, and Junior Brother Wang Lu have also been recommended to participate in the inner courtyard's qualification examination. Jingping said happily. Unlike the previous years, the heaven-repairing peak could also have 9 disciples participate in the inner courtyard's qualification examination. To be precise, 2 of them had already successfully joined the inner courtyard and were exempt from the examination. The other 7 still had to work hard. Shi Weizhu smiled and said, "Congratulations to Junior Brother Lin Feng and Junior Brother Tian Zhongdao. I believe that everyone can also successfully join the inner courtyard." Lin Feng slightly smiled. "What about me?" The old drunkard couldn't help but roll his eyes. Elder Qiao Yunqiu didn't mention that. Jingping said awkwardly. The old drunkard was so old that he couldn't see the future. It would be extremely difficult for him to break through the yin-yang realm at such an old age. Since the quota was precious, it was normal for him not to give it to the old drunkard. The old drunkard couldn't help but roll his eyes. Who knows what he was thinking? Jingping replied, "The test will be held in 3 days." Then, everyone dispersed. At night, Lin Feng sat cross-legged and began to circulate the Archean dragonesque elephant art. After 36 cycles, he finally stopped. Fire Qilin asked, "Did you encounter anything special in the Thunderblade secret realm?" Lin Feng replied, "If there's anything special about it, it's the eternal divine sovereign who left a deep impression on me. Our group entered the illusory world created by the eternal divine sovereign and stayed there for 5 years. When we came out, only a breath of time had passed in the outside world." "What? There's such a thing?" The Fire Qilin's expression was gloomy and uncertain, appearing extremely shocked. Lin Feng nodded and asked, "Is there anything wrong?" "The power of the laws of time." The Fire Qilin said, "However, even if the gods have mastered the power of the law of time, they would never allow hundreds of people to enter such a time-space at the same time. Moreover, 1 breath of time is equivalent to 5 years in the time-space. The stronger the power of the law of time is, the longer one breath of time will be converted into the time-space. As far as I know, even the experts at the peak of the gods can only convert one breath of time in the outside world into 10 minutes in the law of time, and they can only enter the time-space themselves. Lin Feng was shocked by the Fire Qilin's words. If the Fire Qilin was telling the truth, then the eternal divine sovereign was an existence that surpassed the god realm? Does the undying world really exist? Lin Feng frowned slightly. The Fire Qilin replied, "Of course it exists, but only a very small number of people can enter it. It's a world that transcends life and death. Those who can ascend to the undying world are all peerless experts. However, it's been too long since anyone has been able to enter the undying world. That's why the undying world has become a legend in the martial heaven continent." Yes, Lin Feng nodded. Starlight fell, and the moonlight shone resplendently. Late at night, Lin Feng was still cultivating. He was looking at the 90,000 star charts, comprehending the various mysterious transformations within them. That imposing, godlike man was standing in the middle of the Star River. Lin Feng tried to communicate with him, but no matter how many times he tried, he always failed. Of course, it wasn't as if Lin Feng didn't gain anything. Every time he looked at the star charts, his spiritual energy would increase. Furthermore, the 90,000 star charts were arranged like a formation. Looking at the star charts would be of great help to Lin Feng in comprehending formations. After cultivating for a night, Lin Feng opened his eyes and muttered, "Right now, if I want to advance from the first heavenly layer of the creation realm to the second heavenly layer of the creation realm, it feels more difficult than advancing from the first heavenly layer of the yin-yang realm to the 10th heavenly layer of the yin-yang realm." The Fire Qilin opened its eyes and said, "That's natural. After crossing a large realm, the soul will have undergone a substantial transformation, and it will be even more difficult to advance. However, every time you advance, you will receive a greater increase in strength." Lin Feng nodded. In the next few days, he had been cultivating diligently. A few disciples of the heaven-mending peak also went to the outer court disciples' palace to participate in the inner court examination. One of the things that happened made people not know whether to laugh or cry. Because the old drunkard didn't get a recommendation, he went to the examination area and caused a lot of trouble, causing the elders in charge of the examination to have a headache. Shouldn't the old drunkard be kicked out? After all, he was a disciple of the Blue Cloud sect, and at such an old age. If he was an ordinary disciple, he would have been kicked out long ago. However, they couldn't do that to the old drunkard. If they kicked out an old fellow like the old drunkard, the Blue Cloud sect's reputation would be damaged. In the end, an elder decided to let the old drunkard participate in the examination. Who would have thought that the old drunkard would pass all the examinations, causing the elders in charge of the examination to be dumbfounded. Although they felt that it was a waste of resources for the old drunkard to enter the inner court at such an old age, they couldn't do it. They didn't want to deprive the old drunkard of his qualifications. As for the others, Shi Weizhu, Wang Hu, Yang Lin, and Wang Lu passed all the examinations. Jing Ping, Zhang Tianyuan, and Pei Junyang failed. Zhang Tianyuan and Pei Junyang were both in the 7th heavenly layer Martial King realm. They participated in the examination to give it a try. Although it was regretful that they failed, they still had hope after breaking through to the 8th heavenly layer Martial King realm. This was Jingping's 7th time participating in the examination. This time was exactly the same as the previous time. He failed again because his martial spirit didn't meet the requirements. Jingping stood alone on the peak of the heaven-mending peak, looking at the distant sea of clouds in a daze. With my talent, is there really no hope of entering the yin-yang realm? Jingping's face was full of bitterness. Jingping, who didn't have much talent, had to put in 10 times, or even 10 times more effort than others. Others seemed to be able to pass the inner court examination easily, but he failed again and again. This was a huge blow to Jingping. Lin Feng walked over and stood with Jingping, looking at the sea of clouds together. He and Jingping drank wine the whole night. In the end, Jingping burst into tears. He had worked hard for so many years, but he couldn't see any hope. "Junior brother, I plan to leave the Blue Cloud sect," Jingping said. Lin Feng was silent. He didn't know how to persuade Jingping. After a long time, he said, "The world is difficult. I hope senior brother will be careful outside." "I will." Jingping nodded. The next day, Lin Feng and the others saw Jingping off. Looking at Jingping's lonely back, Lin Feng sighed. After this farewell, would they ever meet again? Chapter 605. There were about 500 disciples from the 12 peaks who had passed the inner courtyard exam. They gathered early in the morning to head to the Blue Cloud Sect's ancestral land. The Blue Cloud Sect's ancestral land required a teleportation portal. It was located in a mysterious canyon, sealed off by a mysterious space. Everyone rode on their griffins, and 3 of them soared into the sky. The teleportation formation plaza had been activated, and a teleportation gate appeared. The griffin rushed into the teleportation gate and disappeared without a trace. Rumor has it that the Patch the Heavens technique was never lost, and that it was hidden somewhere in the Blue Cloud Sect. Could it be hidden in the Blue Cloud Sect's ancestral land? But no one has been able to find it after so many years? Tian Zhongdao and Lin Feng sat together. They were so excited when they thought about the Patch the Heavens technique that they stopped stuttering. Lin Feng scratched his chin and said, "That's possible," said Lin Feng, scratching his chin. "I've heard that the Blue Cloud Sect has a few monstrous geniuses. With their talent, they could have joined some of the most powerful groups to cultivate, but they didn't. Instead, they chose to join the Blue Cloud Sect." Tian Zhongdao said in a meaningful tone, "For the Patch the Heavens technique?" Lin Feng pondered for a moment. "Yes." Tian Zhongdao nodded. Tian Zhongdao nodded and said, "The heaven-mending art is said to be very terrifying and has unimaginable abilities. Some people once said that after the archaic dragonesque elephant art was lost, the heaven-mending art could be called the #1 forbidden divine art. Although it was questioned by many experts also believe that this view was correct. Besides, the ancient dragonesque elephant formula is different from the Patch the Heavens technique. The ancient dragonesque elephant formula focuses on cultivation, which means that the main focus of the dragonesque elephant formula is to refine the body and increase the cultivator's potential. Every time someone cultivates the ancient dragonesque elephant formula, their battle prowess will increase far more than others. On the other hand, the Patch the Heavens technique focuses on offense. Lin Feng understood the ancient dragonesque elephant formula very well. It was just as Tian Zhongdao had said, the ancient dragonesque elephant formula focused on cultivation, not offense. Is the Patch the Heavens technique very powerful? Lin Feng asked in surprise. Of course it's powerful. It's said that it can mend the heavens. Rumor has it that the heaven-mending technique is a supreme divine technique passed down by the progenitor of the human race, Goddess Nuwa. In the past, when the world was destroyed, Goddess Nuwa gathered 5-colored godly stones to mend the heavens and created the heaven-mending technique. Tian Zhongdao said, "That's just a myth. Don't take it seriously." Lin Feng shook his head. However, even though this was the case, since there were such myths, then one thing could be proven. That was, these myths set off the extraordinariness of the heaven-mending technique. The heaven-mending technique is truly terrifying. It makes one yearn for it. Old Drunkard said. After spending 3 days in the Void Transfer Channel, Lin Feng and the others finally came out. They entered a huge canyon. They could feel powerful restrictions all around them. The griffins flew quickly through the restrictions. Finally, in the depths of the canyon, the 3 griffins stopped. Elders, Zhang Quan is leading a group of new disciples into the inner courtyard. Elder Gu, please open the gate to the inner courtyard. Great Elder Zhang Quan clasped his fists and said. Silently, 2 old men appeared in the depths of the canyon. The one on the left was tall and sturdy, while the one on the right was skinny. However, these 2 people were unfathomable. How terrifying. How did they appear without us noticing? Asked Lin Feng in surprise. The old drunkard took a sip of wine and said, They've been sitting here the whole time, fusing with the earth and sky. That's why we couldn't see them. Lin Feng's heart shook. Could this be the so-called Tao? The power to comprehend Tao and fuse with the earth and sky. This kind of ability was incredible. Lin Feng looked at the old drunkard. This guy was always crazy and mysterious. Lin Feng didn't know why he had joined the Blue Cloud sect at such an old age. This year, the Thunderblade secret territory opened, and a lot of new blood was sent to the sect. This group of young people is really lucky. They managed to encounter the Thunderblade secret territory that only opens once every 500 years, said the tall old man. Whether they can achieve anything in the future depends on how hard they work in the future, said the old drunkard. Said the old man on the right indifferently. At that moment, the two old men stretched out their hands, and many spells appeared. Then, many talismans flew out. These two are spiritual spellcasters. Lin Feng was shocked. These two old men weren't only spiritual spellcasters, but they were also very high-level spiritual spellcasters. Of course, they were even stronger. Great Elder Zhang Quan was at the seventh sky of the Yin-Yang realm, so he was very respectful to these two old men. Rumble. There was a loud rumbling sound. The huge rock wall behind the two old men began to shake violently. The huge rock wall gradually moved to the sides. A dazzling light suddenly surged out from the depths of the rock wall. When the two huge rock walls opened, Lin Feng and the others saw a beautiful world. Dragonchi was rising, cranes were flying, and spirit deer were jumping in the forest. What a picturesque and beautiful picture. Thank you, Pavilion Elder. Great Elder Zhang Quan cupped his fists. Then, the three griffins soared into the sky and entered the world behind the rock wall. Soon, the two rock walls closed again. Who are those two old men? Lin Feng was puzzled. Shi Weizhu said, they should be Pavilion Elders of the Grand Elder Pavilion. The people in the Grand Elder Pavilion are the true foundation of the Blue Cloud sect. They have lived for thousands of years and protect the ancestral land of the Blue Cloud sect. Lin Feng's heart trembled. Perhaps this was the foundation of a top force? The Grand Elder Pavilion. Those who could join the Grand Elder Pavilion were definitely at the Fortune Realm. Of course, there weren't many people like that. After all, even powerful cultivators rarely had a lifespan of thousands of years, unless their cultivation was heaven-defying. The three griffins quickly flew through the mountains. Lin Feng saw that in the depths of this world, there were towering peaks that reached tens of thousands of meters high. Enormous palaces were built on top of those mountains. What a huge mountain! What a majestic mountain range! Many people sighed with emotion. Shi Weizhu said, some of those peaks were built by the sect, such as the Inner Disciple Peak, the Enforcer Peak, etc. There are also some peaks built by the core disciples. Core disciples can build peaks like that? Many people found it inconceivable. Shi Weizhu said, when one cultivates to the yin-yang layer, one's status is equal to that of an elder. It's like being a prince or princess of an empire. Their status is extremely high, so they naturally don't live with others. You should know that every prince or princess of an empire has their own fief and residence. We are all disciples of the sect. Even though the yin-yang layer core disciples don't have fiefs like the princes and princesses of ancient empires, they can build their own palaces. Look at those peaks. Those are the palaces of the core disciples. The Titan Demon Clan was invited to build those peaks for the core disciples. It symbolizes their high status in the sect. Chapter 606. The lion vulture stopped at the peak of the Inner Disciples Mountain. Not long after, the great elder of the Inner Disciples Mountain, Guo Yin, personally appeared and greeted Great Elder Zhang Quan. Then Guo Yin looked at the new disciples and said, first of all, congratulations to you for being able to join the Inner Disciples of the Blue Cloud sect. You will receive better training here. On the Inner Disciples Mountain, there are different kinds of cultivation rooms. You can all enter those rooms to cultivate, but in the depths of the Core Disciples Mountain, you are not allowed to enter as you wish. Those places are where the Core Disciples practice in seclusion. If you enter, you will be killed and no one will avenge you. Yes, the disciples hurriedly replied. In addition, the sect will give you a month to familiarize yourself with the inner court. After a month, as new inner court disciples, you will go out to complete missions assigned by the sect. You will know the details of the missions when the time comes. This is also the sect's test for you. Only by passing the test can you truly become an inner court disciple. If you encounter any problems during the mission, you will be sent back to the outer court. Guo Yin continued. Many people's expressions changed again and again. They hadn't expected that they would have to complete missions after entering the inner court. Lin Feng wasn't worried about anything. With his strength, no matter what the mission was, Lin Feng was confident that he could complete it smoothly. Guo, take them to their residences and make arrangements for their accommodations. Guiyin looked at a young man behind him. This young man looked to be in his 20s. After receiving Guoyan's order, he quickly responded. Yes. Under Guo Zhao's lead, Lin Feng went to the residences of the new disciples. On the way, Lin Feng noticed that many people were deliberately trying to strike up a conversation with Guo. He couldn't help but feel a bit puzzled. Shi Weizhu whispered, Guo is Great Elder Guiyan's son. Lin Feng nodded. It was no wonder that so many disciples were taking the initiative to befriend Guo. Guo Zhao's father, Guiyan, had a high status and controlled the fate of all the inner court disciples. Guo Zhao's status depended on his father. In the distance, a red-crowned crane flew over with two people sitting cross-legged on it. They were both Yin-Yang realm experts, and they flew over. The red-crowned crane stopped. A middle-aged cultivator looked at the disciples below and asked, Are these the new inner disciples this year? Guo bowed and said, Marshal Uncle Lu, I'm a new disciple this year. Lin Feng discovered that although Guo Zhao's father was the great elder of the inner sect Disciple Mountain, Guo did not have the air of a spoiled brat. Instead, he was very humble. Yes. The middle-aged cultivator nodded and was about to leave on his crane when a cold voice suddenly echoed. Wait, what is it, third uncle? Lu Mingtsong looked at the old man, Lu Qingshan, in confusion. In the next moment, Lin Feng felt a cold, killing intent enveloping him. Lu Qingshan stood up and looked coldly at Lin Feng. When Lin Feng saw Lu Qingshan, his expression suddenly changed. It turned out to be Lu Qingshan, the fifth elder of the Qingyang sect. Lin Feng had a deep enmity with the Qingyang sect. Lu Qingshan's grandson, Lu Zishu, had his Dantian destroyed by Lin Feng. Later, Lin Feng had gone to the Qingyang sect to take away Ziling, and caused a ruckus there. The Qingyang sect had been looking for Lin Feng ever since. However, they had never found him. Lu Qingshan had never thought that he would run into Lin Feng in the Blue Cloud sect. Damn it, didn't they say that the Qingyang sect wanted to be independent after they grew up? Didn't they cut ties with the Blue Cloud sect? Why is Lu Qingshan in the Blue Cloud sect? When he saw Lu Qingshan, Lin Feng's expression became gloomy. As mentioned before, the Qingyang sect was originally a branch of the Blue Cloud sect. However, ever since the heaven mending technique was lost, the Blue Cloud sect became weaker and weaker, while the Qingyang sect became stronger and stronger. As a result, the Qingyang sect didn't pay much attention to the Blue Cloud sect, causing the upper echelons of the Blue Cloud sect and the Qingyang sect to become hostile. In truth, Lin Feng didn't know that although the upper echelons of the two sects were hostile, the Qingyang sect wanted to break away from the Blue Cloud sect's influence and didn't interact with the Blue Cloud sect. However, this wasn't absolute. After all, the two sects were inextricably linked. Lu Mingtsong was Lu Qingshan's nephew, so it was normal for them to interact with each other. Lu Qingshan gave Lin Feng a deep look, then looked at Lu Mingtsong and said, Let's go. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Lu Qingshan didn't seem to have any intention of flipping out, which made Lin Feng secretly raise his guard. There was a saying that a dog that bites doesn't bark, and a dog that barks doesn't bite. Lu Qingshan's calm departure made Lin Feng feel uneasy. Said Guo, looking at Lin Feng in a profound way. Then, he turned his head and looked pensive. Lin Feng and the others were arranged in a room, halfway up the mountain. Everyone had their own room. Guo said, You guys can rest for now. At night, someone will distribute the sect benefits to everyone. Soon, Guo left. Everyone was looking forward to the sect benefits. After all, the benefits of the Blue Cloud sect's inner disciples were definitely incomparable to that of the outer disciples, right? At night, more than 10 disciples arrived. The leader was a tall and extremely beautiful female cultivator. This woman was called Qin Yao, and she was also an inner disciple. It was said that she was ranked in the top 10 among the Blue Cloud sect's inner disciples. She was definitely an expert. Junior brothers and sisters, from now on, if you have anything you don't understand, you can ask me for advice. I will assist Senior Brother Gua Xiao to take care of you. Qin Yao smiled and waved her hand. More than 10 disciples behind her came forward, took out storage bags, and distributed them to everyone. These are the sect's benefits. Since you have just entered the inner sect, your first sect benefits include a mid-grade spirit tool robe, a high-grade flying sword, a pair of mid-grade spirit tool boots, and a mid-grade spirit tool belt. Male disciples will also receive a mid-grade spirit tool jade crown, while female disciples will receive a mid-grade spirit tool hairpin. In addition, you will also receive 100 high-grade spirit stones, 10 profound rank mid-grade true condensation pills, a book that introduces the various powers of the sect, the record of the heavens, an ancient sword technique, the great sun azure sky sword technique, an ancient fist technique, the 10,000 beast wild dragon fist, and an ancient movement technique, the 8 extreme spirit snake steps. Qin Yao said dozens of things one after another, which made many people dumbfounded. But soon, everyone became excited. The sect benefits were too generous. Sure enough, compared to the inner sect disciples, the difference in treatment between outer sect disciples and inner sect disciples was like heaven and earth. Qin Yao said, from the second month onwards, the sect benefits will return to normal. Our Blue Cloud sect has a heaven and earth ranking. The heaven and earth ranking has a total of 800 people. If you don't enter the ranking, you can receive 100 high-grade spirit stones and 10 true condensation pills every month. You will not enjoy any other benefits. If you can enter the ranking, your benefits will be greatly increased. If you can enter the ranking, the sect benefits will be greatly increased. Even if you can enter the top 100, you will receive an earth-grade pill every month. If you enter the top 50, you will receive a top-grade spirit stone. Hiss! Lin Feng couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. This Blue Cloud sect was really generous. They would actually reward top-grade spirit stones and earth-grade pills. Lin Feng suddenly became interested in this heaven and earth ranking. Chapter 607. After Qin Yao left, everyone went back to check their sect's benefits. To others, these sect benefits were extremely precious, but to Lin Feng, they were nothing. Among all the sect benefits, Lin Feng was only interested in the Azure Sun Sword technique. What really interested Lin Feng was the Heaven and Earth list. If he could enter the Heaven and Earth list, he would be able to obtain Supreme-grade Spirit Stones as a reward. Supreme-grade Spirit Stones were too rare. However, Lin Feng needed Supreme-grade Spirit Stones to break through his cultivation. But it was not easy to obtain Supreme-grade Spirit Stones. This Blue Cloud sect is quite generous. They actually rewarded us with Supreme-grade Spirit Stones. The Fire Qilin smacked its lips and said, "This is the style of a top sect." Lin Feng could not help but sigh. One had to know that Supreme-grade Spirit Stones were very difficult to mine. Generally, a small mine would be able to mine a few Supreme-grade Spirit Stones. A large mine would probably only be able to mine a few hundred Supreme-grade Spirit Stones. Therefore, Supreme-grade Spirit Stones were very precious. In order to nurture disciples, the Blue Cloud sect even took out Supreme-grade Spirit Stones as a reward. The Blue Cloud sect could be said to have spent a lot of money. Lin Feng took out the All Heavens record. After opening it, he saw the introduction of the book. Blue Cloud Sect Introduction. Desolate Region Introduction. Righteous Path Introduction in the 72 Northern Prefectures Introduction. Evil Path Introduction in the 72 Northern Prefectures Introduction. Underground World Introduction. East Sea Introduction in the 72 Northern Prefectures Introduction. Confucian Introduction. Taoist Introduction. Extraterritorial World Introduction. Looking at the dazzling catalog introduction, Lin Feng was very surprised. The information recorded in the Record of the Heavens was truly comprehensive. Lin Feng read it attentively. Many of the contents broadened Lin Feng's horizons. For example, the All Heavens record recorded that there was a powerful astral beast in the extraterritorial world. It could swallow an entire planet with its bloody mouth. That kind of astral beast lived by devouring planets. Another example was that there was once an immortal island in the eastern seaworld, and many fairies lived there. The Record of the Heavens had recorded many of these strange stories. Of course, there were also introductions of many great powers. For example, the introduction of Buddhism. The record of the heavens stated that Buddhism was located in the western regions. There was a Buddhist kingdom in the western regions and a minor thunderclap temple. It was a holy land for Buddhism. However, the All Heavens record warned other cultivators not to go to the Buddhist territories of the western regions. According to the All Heavens record, once one entered the Buddhist kingdom of the western regions, no matter how powerful one's cultivation was, they would willingly convert to Buddhism. Lin Feng was also dumbfounded. He didn't expect this mysterious Buddhism to be so strange that it could make cultivators willingly cut off their hair to become monks. Lin Feng also saw the introduction of Confucianism. There was a story written in it. It said that there was a scholar who had never come into contact with cultivation. However, he studied diligently for 80 years. When the old scholar was about to die of old age, divine lightning suddenly fell from the sky. The old scholar roared loudly, and his body was enveloped in righteousness. He directly shattered the divine lightning with his roar and became a supreme expert. Isn't this too ridiculous? Lin Feng was speechless as he read the story. It was obvious that the old scholar had shattered the legendary lightning tribulation with his roar. Then, he became a supreme expert. However, no matter how he looked at it, he felt that it was nonsense. Of course, there was a lot of content recorded in it that was very interesting. Lin Feng also read many shocking things from the record of the heavens. It could be said that the record of the heavens had greatly broadened Lin Feng's horizons. Some things that he had never heard of before could be found in the record of the heavens. In the following days, everyone familiarized themselves with the Blue Cloud sect's inner sect. There were also many disciples who went to the Great Path Peak to challenge the heaven and earth ranking. Clearly, the heaven and earth rankings rewards were too generous. Many new disciples were eager to give it a try. Lin Feng, Tian Zhongdao, and the old drunkard also went to the Great Path Peak together. The Great Path Peak was bustling with people. Many disciples entered the Great Path Peak to challenge the heaven and earth ranking. The old drunkard said, "It's said that the Great Path Peak is covered by restrictions. Within the restrictions, there are all sorts of terrifying battle spirits. Defeating these battle spirits will give you points. The higher the points, the higher the ranking." Tian Zhongdao said, These battle spirits must be very, very terrifying, right? Lin Feng nodded. That should be the case. Soon, the three of them arrived at the foot of the Great Path Peak. There was a huge crystal screen that was more than 10 meters tall at the foot of the Great Path Peak. This crystal screen was inscribed with arrays that could continuously record all sorts of data before displaying it on the screen. This is the heaven and earth ranking, the old drunkard said. Many people surrounded the crystal screen to see the heaven and earth ranking. There were a total of 800 people on the heaven and earth ranking. Those who could make it onto the heaven and earth ranking were definitely very powerful. The person ranked first was called Long Jinyu, second was called Shui Wushuang, and third was called Zhang Shihao. The top three all had more than 3 million points. They were high and mighty. The fourth place, Li Shiyu, had 1.78 million points, which was quite a big difference from the top three. It seems like the top three should be the strongest group in the inner courtyard. No one can shake their position. Lin Feng stroked his chin. Senior sister Qin Yao's ranking is also very high. She's ranked 7th on the heaven and earth ranking with 1.75 million points. Lin Feng was secretly shocked. Qin Yao was very approachable, but her strength was extremely terrifying. Lin Feng swept through the rest of the rankings. Rank 800, Lu Yu, 13,000 points. The way to earn points was to defeat the battle spirits of the Great Path Peak. However, each battle spirit had a different strength. Ordinary battle spirits could only earn 1 point. Intermediate battle spirits could earn 2 points. Advanced battle spirits could earn 3 points. Above battle spirits, there was Battle King. Ordinary battle kings could earn 30 points. Intermediate battle kings could earn 60 points. Advanced battle kings could earn 90 points. Then there was the Battle Emperor level. However, it was said that it was extremely difficult to challenge a Battle Emperor. Even those at the top of the rankings found it extremely difficult to defeat a Battle Emperor. If one could defeat a Battle Emperor, they would earn 5,000 points. Many people entered the Great Path Peak to challenge the battle spirits. There were seniors and new disciples of the inner courtyard. Lin Feng even saw Yang Jian, Shui Wentao, Shui Wenjia, Wu Ku, and the others entering the peak. They were all top geniuses among the outer courtyard disciples. Heh, a bunch of arrogant fellows. Do you think a battle spirit can be defeated so easily? Many senior disciples sneered when they saw the new disciples enter the Great Path Peak and couldn't wait to challenge the battle spirits. Not long after, a scream was heard and a figure was swept away. He fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. Yang Jian. Lin Feng was shocked. It was Yang Jian. This person was in the top 6 during the competition. How long had it been since he was swept out of the Great Path Peak? Chapter 608. After Yang Jian was blasted out, Shui Wentao, Shui Wenjia, Wu Ku, and some other new disciples were blasted out of the Great Dao Peak. Those with serious injuries spat out mouthfuls of blood, while those with light injuries were pale. Is the Great Dao Peak so terrifying? A new disciple said with a pale face. Many of the new disciples who were eager to give it a try stopped in their tracks. The weakest battle spirits in the Great Dao Peak are ordinary battle spirits, but they are as fast as lightning. Because they are condensed from energy, they can easily dissolve a cultivator's attack. They can even take the initiative to devour a cultivator's attack. Even a cultivator in the 10th heavenly layer of the Martial King realm would find it very difficult to deal with these ordinary battle spirits. As a new disciple, it's better to cultivate honestly and stabilize your cultivation. Then, you can consider challenging a battle spirit instead of throwing your life away. Fortunately, you've only encountered ordinary battle spirits. If you had encountered a high-level battle spirit or a battle general, you might have even died inside. An old disciple named Sun Chao sneered. 3 years ago, I joined the inner courtyard. At that time, I was at the 9th heavenly layer of the Martial King realm. I was full of confidence when I went in to challenge the battle spirits. I couldn't even withstand 3 moves and was thrown out. Half a year later, I broke through to the 10th heavenly layer of the Martial King realm and went in to challenge the battle spirits. After 7 moves, I was thrown out again. Another senior disciple called Min Zixing said with an arrogant expression, any disciple who could defeat the Great Dao Peak's battle spirit would have a superior status. As for those disciples who were able to enter the Heaven and Earth Board, they were all disciples that the sect focused on nurturing. They were the future hope of the sect. The faces of the new disciples were all pale. They were scared out of their wits by the words of the old disciples. Old Drunkard shouted, I'd better go enjoy the blue sky and white clouds. Then, the old man quickly slipped away. Lin Feng could not help but be speechless. When he came, the old drunkard had vowed that he would sweep through the battle spirits and charge into the Heaven and Earth list. Seeing how powerful the battle spirits were, they were so scared that they fled without a trace. However, this was in line with the old drunkard's character. Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao walked towards the Great Dao Peak. Didn't you hear what we just said? Do you see those people? Their cultivations are higher than yours, but weren't they still swept out? If you listen to my advice, wait until you reach the 10th layer of the Martial King realm, then accumulate and stabilize your cultivation for a year before entering to challenge the battle spirits. The inner court disciple named Min Zixing looked at Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao and couldn't help but snort. He felt that these 2 disciples were really not tactful. He had said so much, but could it be that they had turned a deaf ear to him? Thank you for reminding us, but we still want to try. Lin Feng cupped his fists. As you wish. Min Zixing waved his hand. Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao entered the Great Dao Peak. The Great Dao Peak was extremely large and consisted of 3 peaks and 2 valleys. Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao had just entered when they felt the cold wind sweeping over them. 2 silhouettes dashed toward Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao, respectively. Lin Feng looked over and saw that it was an energy body. It was wearing a suit of armor, and it threw a punch as fast as lightning. Another 2 new disciples who don't know what's good for them have come. In the Great Dao Peak, some of the older disciples looked at Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao gloatingly. During this period of time, because the new disciples had entered the inner court, many new disciples had come to the Great Dao Peak to challenge the battle spirits. However, without exception, all of them were sent flying by the battle spirits. It was said that some of them were even seriously injured. In the eyes of these inner court disciples, Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao had also come to die. The battle spirits were fast, but Lin Feng was even faster. In the face of the battle spirit's attack, Lin Feng moved to the left and easily dodged the attack. Then, he threw a punch at the battle spirits and sent them flying. Lin Feng felt something strange about the battle spirits. The battle spirits' bodies were indeed strange. When his punch landed on the battle spirits' bodies, there seemed to be a force that removed his strength. Moreover, a portion of the removed strength was absorbed by the battle spirits. It's just as that inner court disciple said. These battle spirits can absorb a cultivator's strength. Lin Feng smiled. The stronger the battle spirits were, the more he liked to see them fight. This was a real battle, and it could allow Lin Feng to temper his own cultivation. On the other side, Tian Zhongdao sent the battle spirits flying. He said in shock, This battle spirit is really strange. Those inner yard disciples who were gloating and enjoying the show were all dumbfounded. What's going on? How did those two manage to repel the battle spirits? Could it be luck? Many people were muttering in their hearts. Roar! The two battle spirits roared and charged at Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao, respectively. Lin Feng snorted in the face of the battle spirit's attacks. He leaped forward and instantly appeared in front of the battle spirits. He threw an even more powerful punch. Bang! With a dull sound of collision, the battle spirit that had attacked Lin Feng directly exploded and vanished into thin air. Oh my God! The inner court disciples who had been watching the battle all cried out in shock. Their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Was he still a new disciple? Was he still human? He had destroyed a battle spirit with a single punch. How terrifying was that guy's strength? Soar, moonwalk, killing kick. Tian Zhongdao also used his own physical skills to dodge the battle spirit's attacks. Then, he arrived behind the battle spirits and swept out with his leg. Bang! The battle spirit that had been fighting with Tian Zhongdao was also destroyed by his kick. Another battle spirit has been destroyed. Many people cried out in shock. These two guys are even stronger than us. The experienced inner court disciples, who had been watching the battle, felt their hearts beat wildly. I'll go over there. You go over there. We'll sweep one side each. Lin Feng pointed in two directions. No problem, Tian Zhongdao said. The two separated. Lin Feng flew deeper into the battlefield. Roar, roar, roar. More than a dozen battle spirits roared and charged at him. Boy, you've angered the battle spirits here. Run. You're no match for more than a dozen battle spirits. The inner court disciples in the distance shouted when they saw more than a dozen battle spirits charging at Lin Feng. However, at that moment, they were shocked by what they saw. They saw that the new disciple didn't even make a move. Instead, his body emitted a terrifying aura. Bang! More than a dozen powerful battle spirits that were attacking the new disciple directly exploded into pieces. Chapter 609. Silence. In the mountain forest, it was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. The inner disciples felt as if their throats were being choked by something. They were unable to speak. Everyone's heart was deeply shaken. The scene in front of them had truly shocked their souls. A new disciple had killed more than 10 battle spirits in seconds just by relying on his aura. This was simply as unbelievable as the Arabian Nights. But now, it had really happened in front of their eyes. Who is this guy? He's actually so terrifying. All the inner courtyard disciples were staring at Lin Feng in astonishment. These should be ordinary battle spirits. They're too weak. Lin Feng muttered as he walked towards the depths of the mountain forest. Roar! A roar shook the heavens. In the mountain forest, a battle spirit wearing silver-white armor rushed out. Mid-level battle spirit, many people exclaimed. Ordinary battle spirits were fast and could absorb a cultivator's energy. Therefore, it was difficult for cultivators at the 10th layer of the Martial King realm to defeat them. Of course, they were talking about ordinary inner disciples. Genius inner disciples were not included. For example, a genius like Lin Feng could easily crush ordinary battle spirits. Mid-level battle spirits' battle prowess would increase by a level. Dozens of ordinary battle spirits besieged a mid-level battle spirit. They might not be able to defeat it. Junior brother, be careful. That's a mid-level battle spirit. Its strength is more than 10 times that of an ordinary battle spirit. An inner disciple warned loudly. Seeing the mid-level battle spirit rushing out, everyone's face turned pale. They knew how powerful a mid-level battle spirit was. These disciples quickly rushed outside. As long as they saw something wrong, they would immediately escape from the Great Dao Peak. Good timing, shouted Lin Feng. He threw a punch at the medium-level battle spirit which was moving towards him. Bang! A violent collision sound was heard. The earth seemed to shake violently. Ding ding ding. After colliding with the mid-level battle spirit, Lin Feng and the mid-level battle spirit each took 3 steps back. Although Lin Feng did not circulate his 5 martial souls to increase his combat strength, nor did he use any secret techniques, the fact that this mid-level war spirit could fight evenly with Lin Feng was already quite terrifying. How powerful! He actually managed to block the attack of a mid-level war spirit. The inner court disciples exclaimed in shock. They originally thought that Lin Feng would lose without a doubt. However, he did not expect that Lin Feng would be able to fight evenly with that mid-level war spirit. It's already terrifying to be able to fight against a medium-level war spirit. If I practice in the inner sect for a while, I should be able to defeat a medium-level war spirit. But now, it's still difficult to defeat a medium-level war spirit. An inner disciple said. Even so, they were extremely shocked. After all, Lin Feng had just joined the inner sect. The other disciples also nodded in agreement with this disciple's words. Roar! The intermediate war spirit roared again and rushed towards Lin Feng to kill him. Silver rays of light gushed out from the intermediate war spirit's body. Oh my God! It can't be, right? Silver light is gushing out of the intermediate war spirit's body. Could it be that it has comprehended the war spirit fist? It must have comprehended the war spirit fist. Normally, only high-level battle spirits can comprehend the war spirit fist, but there are also some intermediate war spirits that can comprehend it. A mid-level battle spirit that has comprehended the war spirit fist is much stronger than an ordinary intermediate war spirit. Now that it has used the war spirit fist, it's going to be troublesome. I'm afraid that Kid will be defeated. Defeating him is a small matter. If a mid-level battle spirit that has comprehended the war spirit fist shows its might, it might even be able to kill that kid. The inner court disciples all looked pale as they looked at the mid-level battle spirit that had comprehended the war spirit fist. Even though they were very far away, they could still feel the aura of the mid-level battle spirit. It made them tremble with fear. The mid-level battle spirit that had comprehended the war spirit fist was too powerful. These battle spirits know fist techniques? Lin Feng was slightly surprised. This was something he hadn't expected. But soon, Lin Feng showed an indifferent expression. Lightning energy coiled around his palm as he activated the Sky Tyrant Lightning incantation. Boom! Lin Feng attacked, throwing a punch at the mid-level battle spirit in front of him. They're going to collide. That kid won't be killed, right? The inner court disciples cried out in alarm. Bang! In the next moment, a muffled sound of collision was heard. The mid-level battle spirit that had comprehended the war spirit fist had been blown apart by Lin Feng's punch. Too weak. Lin Feng shook his head and continued walking. A mid-level battle spirit wasn't a threat to him, so Lin Feng set his sights on the even more powerful high-level battle spirits. The group of inner court disciples was completely speechless. They didn't even know what to say. Their hearts were filled with shock and disbelief. A mid-level battle spirit that had comprehended the war spirit fist had been killed in a single punch. How terrifying was that guy's cultivation? At the foot of the Great Dao Peak, Min Zixing frowned slightly and said, "They've been in there for so long. Why haven't those 2 kids come out yet? Could they have been surrounded by the battle spirits? Or were they seriously injured by the battle spirits?" Sun Chao nodded and said, "They haven't come out for so long. Something must have happened. These new disciples don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Do they think the Great Tao Peak is a place they can casually barge into? Let's go and save them and earn some spirit stones, Min Zixing said. The 5 or 6 inner disciples around him all smiled. This was an unwritten rule. If a fellow disciple came to the rescue of any trouble in the Great Tao Peak, they would have to pay a reward. Spirit stones, pills, magic tools, and even secret techniques could be used as rewards. However, these inner court disciples loved spirit stones the most because they were cultivation resources that could increase their cultivation. A few disciples rushed into the Great Tao Peak, but they didn't see Lin Feng or Tianzhong Dao. An inner court disciple called Zhang Chong muttered, "Where are those 2 kids? Could they have been dragged into the depths by the battle spirits? If that's the case, they're dead for sure. There's nothing we can do to save them. Zhou Kai and the others are over there. Let's go ask them." Min Zixing pointed at Zhou Kai's group. Zhou Kai's group was the group of inner court disciples from before. "Senior brother Zhou, have you seen the 2 new disciples?" Min Zixing asked politely. Zhou Kai's battle strength was higher than his, so he was quite respectful to him. Zhou Kai's mouth twitched violently and said, "I see them. Great. We're here to save them and earn some spirit stones while we're at it," Sun Chao said excitedly. Zhou Kai and the others looked at Sun Chao's group with strange expressions. Sun Chao asked, "Senior brother, did I say something wrong?" Zhou Kai and the others' gazes caused them to feel uneasy. "Look inside and you'll know." Zhou Kai pointed at the depths of the mountain. Min Zixing, Sun Chao, and the others looked over and their expressions changed drastically. They saw Lin Feng walking towards the depths of the mountain. Min Zixing yelled, "He's going to the mid-tier combat spirit quadrant. Does he want to die?" At this moment, more than 10 mid-tier battle spirits rushed out of the forest and pounced towards Lin Feng. The expressions of Min Zixing and the others changed drastically when they saw this. Sun Chao yelled with a pale face, "It's over. More than 10 mid-tier battle spirits. That kid is dead for sure. We want to save him, but we can't." As soon as Sun Chao finished speaking, they saw the mid-tier battle spirits pounce towards Lin Feng. Facing the siege of the mid-tier battle spirits, Lin Feng swung his fist and sent a mid-tier battle spirit flying. Bang, 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 one by one. The mid-level war spirits exploded in midair. Plop. Seeing this scene, Sun Chao was so scared that he fell to the ground. Chapter 6:10. The cultivation levels of these mid-level battle spirits aren't that great. Lin Feng frowned slightly. Mid-level battle spirits kept attacking him, but they were all killed by Lin Feng. These battle spirits were formed by the Great Formation. Even if they were killed, they would condense again not long after. It was impossible to kill them all. However, killing a mid-level battle spirit gave him 2 points. Lin Feng was quite satisfied with these points. Lin Feng walked deeper into the mountain. Numerous mid-level battle spirits surrounded him, but they were all killed by Lin Feng. As for Lin Feng, his points increased rapidly. Not long after, Lin Feng arrived at the deepest part of the first mountain. This was the place where the mid-level battle spirits were the most active. He stood on top of a low mountain. A long whistle was heard. In an instant, more than 1,000 mid-level battle spirits rushed over from all directions. "Look, who is that kid? Is he crazy? He's actually provoking mid-level battle spirits. So many mid-level battle spirits are rushing over. That kid seems to be a new disciple, right? He's really courting death. Challenging mid-level battle spirits here will only result in him being torn to pieces." Heavens, so many mid-level battle spirits. I'm afraid there are more than 1,000 mid-level battle spirits. More than 1,000 mid-level battle spirits are surrounding him. That kid is dead for sure. Exclamations could be heard all around. These inner court disciples were much stronger than the outer court disciples. These inner court disciples were able to challenge intermediate war spirits, but even if they could challenge intermediate war spirits, they would still be very careful. If they saw other intermediate war spirits pouncing over, they would immediately run away and not dare to continue the challenge. They had been in the sect for a very long time, but they had never seen such a situation before. Provoking mid-level battle spirits in the mid-level battle spirit area had attracted more than 1,000 mid-level battle spirits. If this wasn't courting death, Then what was? Roar, 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 roar. Numerous mid-level battle spirits rushed toward Lin Feng at lightning speed. In the sky and on the ground, mid-level battle spirits were everywhere. More than 1,000 mid-level battle spirits. If I kill them, I'll get more than 2,000 points, right? Lin Feng muttered. Sky Tyrant Thunder. He stretched out his right hand, roared, and punched out. Loud rumbling sounds could be heard. With Lin Feng as the center, dense purple lightning condensed. Lin Feng was in the center of the purple lightning, as if he had turned into a thunder god. Bang, bang, bang. The purple thunderbolts shot towards the mid-level war spirits that were charging towards them. One by one, the intermediate war spirits were blasted into pieces by the thunderbolts. Terrifying. It was simply too terrifying. 2 hours later, over 1,000 mid-level war spirits had all exploded. Whoosh! Lin Feng leaped out and instantly shot several hundred meters away, continuing to head deeper. In the distance, there was only a group of inner court disciples who were completely stunned. Soon, Lin Feng attracted another 1,000 mid-level war spirits. Lin Feng easily killed these mid-level war spirits. To others, killing an intermediate war spirit was an incomparably difficult task, but to Lin Feng, it was an easy task. One day later, Lin Feng was sitting cross-legged on a gigantic rock. He was resting. He had used up a lot of energy during the battles, but he had also gained a lot from the battles. He should have collected more than 10,000 points from today's battles. Screech. At this moment, a sharp, ear-piercing cry came from the depths of the mountain forest. Then, a war spirit wearing golden armor rushed out. Advanced war spirit. Lin Feng was shocked. This was the first time he had seen an advanced war spirit. The aura of this advanced war spirit was much stronger than that of a mid-level war spirit. Good timing. Lin Feng roared and leaped out, charging towards the advanced war spirit. Bang! He and the advanced war spirit fiercely punched each other, and a powerful force suddenly erupted. Lin Feng originally thought that this punch would be able to kill the advanced war spirit, but he did not expect that when this punch landed on the body of the advanced war spirit, a rune would appear on the surface of the advanced war spirit's body. That rune had greatly weakened the power of Lin Feng's punch. Shouted the high-level battle spirit furiously. He raised his fist and threw it at Lin Feng. Whoosh! Lin Feng reacted quickly and quickly retreated, dodging the advanced war spirit's attack. What a powerful advanced war spirit! The rune on the surface of its body can actually offset the power of my punch. However, it only has one protective rune. How many punches can it block? Lin Feng sneered and rushed towards the advanced war spirit again. Bang, 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 3 punches in a row. Each punch was more violent than the last. After 3 punches, the advanced war spirit's body exploded. Haha, not bad, not bad. Not only can I get points, but I can also hone my cultivation. Lin Feng nodded in satisfaction. Although a mid-level war spirit could also accumulate points, it could not hone his cultivation because it was too weak. In Lin Feng's opinion, this advanced war spirit was a very good opponent. Roar, roar, roar. In the distance, roars shook the sky and a dozen advanced war spirits rushed out. Lin Feng was fearless and rushed towards the advanced war spirits. After a fierce battle, Lin Feng killed all the advanced war spirits. Lin Feng discovered that while fighting against the advanced war spirits, the earth chi in his body was becoming more and more condensed and pure. It seems like I'm not far from breaking through to the 8th celestial layer of Martial King. Lin Feng was delighted. Every day, many disciples would come to the Great Dao Peak. Many people would enter the Great Dao Peak to challenge the advanced war spirits. Even if they couldn't enter the Heaven and Earth board, they could still hone their cultivation. Look, a new name has appeared on the Heaven and Earth board. Suddenly, a disciple shouted loudly. Immediately, many people ran towards the crystal screen. Sure enough, they saw a new name appear on the Heaven and Earth board's 800 position that originally belonged to Lu Yu. Lin Feng. The new name was Lin Feng. An inner court disciple said in surprise, Lin Feng? This is the first time I've heard of this name. It should be his first time on the Heaven and Earth board. It's definitely his first time on the Heaven and Earth board. I come here every day to check the rankings, but this is the first time I've seen this name. Do any of you know this disciple called Lin Feng? If he can enter the Heaven and Earth board, he should be very strong. He shouldn't be unknown, right? I don't know him. Do you? I don't know him either. Heavens, look. The Heaven and Earth board is changing again. Suddenly, an inner court disciple shouted in disbelief. Everyone looked at the crystal screen and saw that Lin Feng, who was originally in the 800th position, was rising. It didn't take long for him to reach the 700th position on the Heaven and Earth board, and his ranking was still rising. How is this possible? Am I seeing things? An inner court disciple shouted in disbelief. His ranking was rising too quickly. The news quickly spread, and more disciples rushed over. Hundreds of inner court disciples surrounded the crystal screen. Someone shouted, "Look, he's rising again. He's in the 600th position." Chapter 6:11. Boom, boom, boom. A smile appeared on Lin Feng's face. Although these high-level battle spirits were powerful, when he got serious, these high-level battle spirits could only die. After a few dozen high-level battle spirits were killed by Lin Feng continued to move deeper into the forest. 3 peaks and 2 valleys. Lin Feng had already crossed the first peak. He wasn't far from the first valley. Obviously, the deeper one went into the 3 peaks and 2 valleys, the more powerful the battle spirits one would encounter. Not long after, Lin Feng left the first peak. He entered a dense forest. After passing through the dense forest, he could reach the first valley. Swish, swish, swish. But in the dense forest, Lin Feng was in trouble. There were so many high-level battle spirits surrounding him that not even a drop of water could escape. There are very powerful restrictions here. So that's how it is. It's the restrictions of this dense forest that evolved the high-level battle spirits. I've arrived at the nest of the high-level battle spirits. Lin Feng slightly raised his eyebrows. No matter if it was an ordinary battle spirit, a mid-level battle spirit, a high-level battle spirit, or an even more powerful battle spirit, they were all formed by the restrictions fusing the power of the 3 peaks and 2 valleys. The reason why they were called battle spirits was because the 3 peaks and 2 valleys were filled with a terrifying battle intent. Lin Feng had heard that a battle god was buried under the 3 peaks and 2 valleys in the past. That was a deity-level existence. The battle god's battle intent had fused into the 3 peaks and 2 valleys. As for the restrictions, they absorbed the battle god's battle intent and condensed all kinds of battle spirits. If it was someone else, they probably wouldn't be able to discover the uniqueness of the restrictions here. However, Lin Feng was an Earth-rank spirit array master, so he was extremely sensitive to large arrays. Thousands of high-level battle spirits rushed over. If other disciples saw this, they would definitely be scared to death. However, Lin Feng's expression was calm. Immemorial Sacred Emperor's Qiongqi treasure technique. Lin Feng roared and used this secret technique. Roar, roar, roar. 3 earth-shaking roars sounded out. Then, a 100-meter-tall figure condensed behind Lin Feng. That existence had 3 ferocious heads. When it roared, the forest trembled. The immemorial Sacred Emperor's Qiongqi treasure technique could condense 9 heads at most. Every additional head condensed, battle strength. Originally, Lin Feng could condense 2 heads. But after the trip to the Thunderblade's secret realm, Lin Feng's cultivation. Now, after he used the ancient Sage Emperor's Qiongqi treasure technique, this secret technique could already condense 3 heads. The 3 Qiongqi. With a swipe of their claws, dozens of high-level war spirits were killed by the 3 Qiongqis. At the same time, the Qiongqi. Boom. The Qiongqi shot. Qiongqi. Every explosion of an energy ball could fake the death of hundreds of high-level war spirits. The 3 Qiongqis unleashed their invincible might, and the numerous high-level war spirits were all killed. At the foot of the Great Path Peak. Look, Lin Feng's ranking has moved again. Someone shouted as he pointed at the crystal screen. Everyone looked at the crystal screen. Lin Feng's ranking kept rising. It didn't take long for him to reach the 600th rank. Moreover, He didn't seem to have any intention of stopping. Soon, he reached the 500th rank. Oh my god, what kind of cultivator is Lin Feng? It's only been a day since yesterday, and he's already reached the 450th rank. Does no one know Lin Feng? How can no one know such a monstrous person? Many inner disciples were puzzled and looked at each other. However, no one really knew Lin Feng. Suddenly, a new inner disciple said weakly, I know someone called Lin Feng. Ah, you know Lin Feng? Many people cried out in surprise and quickly surrounded the new inner disciple. The new inner disciple said, among the new inner disciples this year, there's someone called Lin Feng. A new inner disciple? That's definitely not him. A group of old inner disciples shook their heads. Not to mention a new inner disciple. Even a top genius among the old inner disciples who hadn't entered the heaven and earth ranking in such a short period of time would find it extremely difficult to reach the 450th rank. Moreover, this was a new inner disciple. It was already pretty good for a new inner disciple to be able to defeat an ordinary battle spirit. The group of people immediately dispersed and returned to the crystal screen, trying to guess Lin Feng's identity. The new inner disciple who had pointed out Lin Feng's identity thought for a moment and felt that it couldn't be the Lin Feng he knew. Perhaps it was just a coincidence. Just as the new disciple was about to leave, a voice came. Junior brother, are you saying that there's someone called Lin Feng among the new disciples? The new disciple turned around and saw more than 10 powerful inner disciples walking over. He immediately showed a respectful expression and nodded. That's right, that guy is a disciple of Heaven Repairing Peak. A disciple of Heaven Repairing Peak? Zhou Kai, Min Zixing, Sun Xiao, and the others looked at each other in dismay. Heaven Repairing Peak was currently the weakest peak among the 12 peaks. Everyone knew that entering Heaven Repairing Peak was the beginning of a dark life. Zhou Kai asked, the Lin Feng you're talking about, is he around 20 years old? He looks very delicate and always has a faint smile on his face. That's right, it's him. Do you know him, senior brother? The new disciple nodded. Zhou Kai, Min Zixing, Sun Xiao, and the others looked at each other and saw deep shock in each other's eyes. It was definitely him. The Lin Feng on the Heaven and Earth ranking was definitely the Lin Feng that the new disciple was talking about. Zhou Kai and the others couldn't forget the scene of those powerful mid-level battle spirits being instantly killed by that person. How did this Lin Feng join Heaven Repairing Peak? Asked Sun Xiao. After all, Lin Feng was such a monstrous cultivator. Why would he want to join the declining Butian Peak? Sun Xiao was puzzled. The new disciple said, when the 12 peaks were selecting disciples, junior brother Lin was only a general. Plus, he was already 19 years old at the time. Many elders felt that he wasn't talented enough to reach the general realm at 19 years old, so they didn't choose him. Zhou Kai, Min Zixing, Sun Xiao, and the others naturally knew that only the leftovers from the other peaks would go to Heaven Repairing Peak. Since the other peaks didn't choose Lin Feng, it was obvious that Lin Feng would become a disciple of Heaven Repairing Peak. Are those elders blind? Zhou Kai, Min Zixing, and the others' mouths twitched violently. Chapter 6:12. Seeing that the high-level battle spirits had all disappeared, Lin Feng walked towards the depths of the forest. Even if those high-level battle spirits had been created by Lin Feng's deployment spells, Lin Feng had destroyed them all. It would take time for them to gather again. Therefore, Lin Feng continued walking towards the depths of the forest. He walked towards the first mountain valley. After passing through the forest, he would reach the first mountain valley. Lin Feng guessed that there might be battle spirits at the Battle King level there. Soon, Lin Feng arrived at the edge of the first mountain valley. Roar! A roar could be heard. Swoosh! In the next moment, a bright light surged out. Lin Feng looked over and saw a golden battle spirit with wings and battle armor rushing towards him. Double-winged Battle King. Lin Feng squinted his eyes. Battle King level battle spirits were divided into 3 stages: elementary, intermediate, and advanced. Elementary Battle King level battle spirits had 2 wings on their backs. Intermediate Battle King level battle spirits had 4 wings on their backs. Advanced Battle King level battle spirits had 8 wings on their backs. Elementary, intermediate, and advanced. The difference was very obvious. The one in front of him was an elementary battle king level battle spirit. Just by sensing its aura, it's much stronger than an advanced battle spirit. Lin Feng nodded in satisfaction when he sensed the aura of this elementary battle king level battle spirit. Lin Feng didn't just want to get points. His main goal was to sharpen his cultivation. Sky Tyrant Lightning Art. Lin Feng shouted in a low voice. Lightning energy surrounded his palm as he used the Sky Tyrant Lightning Art. At the same time, the elementary battle king level battle spirit had already arrived in front of Lin Feng. Bang! Both sides fiercely collided. Waves of tyrannical energy swept out and destroyed a large part of the forest in an instant. Lin Feng sensed a strange strength penetrate into his body. That energy seemed to want to destroy his body. This elementary battle king level battle spirit is really strange. Its attack contains the power of a will. However, elementary battle kings can't condense their will to fight against their enemies, so this kind of energy is very weak. Lin Feng was slightly surprised. He circulated the ancient dragonesque elephant art and directly dissolved the energy. Eat my fist again. Lin Feng let out a long howl and rushed forward, colliding with the elementary war king. Bang, bang, bang. After 3 consecutive punches, the elementary combat king was unable to withstand Lin Feng's violent strength and exploded. Lin Feng stepped into the first valley. He saw a sign erected at the entrance of the first valley. There were 3 words written on the sign. Warlord Valley. Is this the lair of an elementary-level combat king? Lin Feng was slightly surprised. As soon as he entered the Battle King Valley, he saw countless elementary battle kings roaring and charging toward Lin Feng. Facing the encirclement of numerous elementary combat kings, Lin Feng waved his right hand, causing a divine light to surge. In an instant, 3 Cheong Chis were formed. The 3 Cheong Chis charged into the group of low-level battle kings and started fighting with them. Killing a beginner battle king was worth 30 points. This was equivalent to killing 10 high-level war spirits. Bang, bang, bang. A great battle broke out. However, these elementary combat kings were much stronger than high-level war spirits. Therefore, Lin Feng's 3 Cheong Chis were having some trouble dealing with the encirclement of the elementary combat kings. It was already unrealistic to want to kill a primary combat king like how they killed a high-level war spirit. Elementary combat kings didn't disappoint me. Lightning, come! Lin Feng stepped forward and stretched out his right hand, attacking the group of elementary combat kings in front of him. A loud rumbling sound was heard as a gigantic ball of lightning was formed, ruthlessly smashing into the group of elementary combat kings. Bang, bang, bang. Sounds of explosions could be heard. The bodies of the elementary combat kings exploded one after another. In an instant, more than 30 elementary combat kings were killed. Haha, this feels great. Lin Feng let out a long howl and jumped onto the back of the 3 Cheong Chis. The 3 Cheong Chis waved their sharp claws and slapped at the elementary combat kings, while their 3 heads continuously spat out energy attacks. As for Lin Feng, he used the Sky Tyrant Lightning Art, sweeping out bolts of lightning. Lin Feng and the 3 Cheong Chis cooperated seamlessly, and countless elementary combat kings were killed. At the foot of the Great Dao Peak. Look, the ranking is moving again. A disciple shouted loudly. Everyone was shocked as they looked at the ranking. Sure enough, Lin Feng's ranking was rising rapidly from the 450th position. Soon, it was within the 400, and it showed no signs of stopping. How many war spirits did he kill? Everyone was shocked beyond words. One had to know that the higher one's ranking was, the more points one would get. The more difficult it was to raise one's ranking, the more difficult it would be. But Lin Feng's ranking was not decreasing, and it was increasing even faster. This meant that Lin Feng was killing a large number of war spirits. His ranking is increasing so quickly. Could it be that he has already entered the Combat King region? A disciple said, "It can't be, right? Combat Kings are so powerful, it shouldn't be easy to deal with them, right?" A disciple doubted. Combat Kings are powerful, but what if this Lin Feng is even more powerful? Another disciple asked. Many people's expressions changed drastically. That's right. If Lin Feng was even more powerful, he could indeed kill a group of combat kings. Too powerful. He's really too powerful. Zhou Kai, Min Zixing, Sun Xiao, and the others were deeply shocked. Previously, Min Zixing had told Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao about how he had defeated a war spirit for the first time since he had joined the inner sect. At that time, he had been immensely proud of himself. Thinking of this, Min Zixing's lips curled into a bitter smile. It had only been half a year since he had joined the inner sect, and he had defeated a war spirit for the first time. In the inner sect, it was already an impressive achievement. However, compared to Lin Feng, he was still worlds apart. News of what had happened at the Great Dao Peak had quickly spread throughout the inner sect. Many attendants and even elders were alarmed. Many attendants, inner sect monstrous geniuses, and a few elders were looking at the rapidly rising name on the crystal screen from afar. Lin Feng, it's actually him. This person is actually so terrifying. Guoxiao was shocked. Qin Yao's red lips were also slightly agape, and her expression was one of shock. Who is this Lin Feng? A monstrous inner sect disciple asked the person beside him. I've never heard of him before. The person beside him was also puzzled. Junior brother Lin Feng is too powerful. Wang Hu and the others had also arrived, and they were all dumbfounded. Even Great Elder Guoyin, who was in the Great Elder's Hall, was alarmed. What happened? Guoyin asked. A deacon quickly walked in and reporting to the Great Elder, someone is challenging the heaven and earth rankings. Yesterday, he just reached the 800th rank, but today, according to the latest news, the other party has already reached the 253rd rank. What? There's such a thing? Even with Great Elder Guoyan's experience, he lost his composure and shouted. However, the attendant didn't notice Great Elder Guoyan's loss of composure because he was still deeply shocked. Chapter 613. Bang! The last elementary combat king's body exploded. Within the valley, the densely packed elementary combat kings were all wiped out by Lin Feng. I'm so tired. Lin Feng took a deep breath. He felt a deep sense of exhaustion. A moment before, Lin Feng had destroyed 5,000 or 6,000 low-level battle kings. Even with Lin Feng's monstrous fighting abilities, he was still exhausted. Whoosh! Lin Feng flew into the distance. He needed to find a place to rest. He leaned against a large tree and quickly recovered his strength. He finally stopped. Outside, everyone who was staring at the crystal screen heaved a sigh of relief. However, Lin Feng's name was so dazzling that the corners of their mouths twitched violently. 215. That was Lin Feng's final ranking. However, it was obvious that it was only a temporary ranking. Come on, let's go and see who that guy is. That guy must have entered the Combat King area. We're just going to die if we go in. That's right. Let's wait for him to come out. He's going to come out from the Great Dao Peak anyway. I don't believe that he can continue fighting for an entire day. He'll need at least a few days to recover, right? Many people nodded in agreement. Cultivators needed to rest after fighting continuously. Their bodies would not be able to take it if they overexerted themselves. It was common for ordinary people to die from overwork. It was precisely because they were too exhausted that they died from overwork. However, cultivators would not die from overexertion. However, overexertion would damage a cultivator's meridians, dantian, and other things. The damage to the body was immeasurable. Once the meridians and dantian were damaged, the cultivator's cultivation career would be over. Therefore, cultivators needed to get enough rest after overexerting themselves so that their bodies could gradually recover. Everyone was waiting for Lin Feng to come out. They wanted to see who Lin Feng was. Lin Feng circulated the immemorial dragonesque elephant art. Within 2 hours, he had gone through 36 cycles. Lin Feng opened his eyes. He was full of energy. Other people would need to rest for 3 to 4 days, or even longer to recover from excessive fatigue. However, Lin Feng, who had cultivated the Archean dragonesque elephant skill, had already recovered to his peak in 2 hours. Why was the Archean dragonesque elephant skill known as the #1 forbidden divine art of the immemorial era? The reason why it was so strong was because of its various unimaginable abilities. Let's go to the intermediate Battle King region and have a look. Lin Feng leaped out and crossed several hundred meters. He crossed the Warlord Valley and headed for the second peak. The second mountain was filled with intermediate combat kings. Whoosh! Just as he arrived at this area, a murderous aura slashed toward him. This murderous aura was as fast as lightning, directly attacking Lin Feng's head, as if it wanted to behead Lin Feng on the spot. Ling, spirit of killing intent. Lin Feng was shocked, but his reaction was also extremely fast. Lin Feng waved his right hand. A beam of sword chi slashed out. Clang! The murderous aura collided with the sword chi, and both of them were destroyed. At this moment, a four-winged combat king flew out from the forest and hovered in midair. Its cold eyes stared at Lin Feng. It's really an attack from an intermediate combat king. These intermediate combat kings have actually grasped a spirit. This is truly unbelievable. Lin Feng was extremely shocked. One had to know that those who grasped at spirit could challenge those who were stronger than them. This was because a spirit was too powerful. For example, if a fifth heavenly layer martial king grasped a spirit, then he could easily defeat a seventh or eighth heavenly layer martial king, or even higher. This was how terrifying its spirit was. Lin Feng didn't find it strange that a cultivator grasped a spirit. However, an intermediate combat king that didn't have its own thoughts and only had the will to kill was able to grasp a spirit. This made Lin Feng feel extremely shocked. Lin Feng suddenly recalled the news he had heard before. It said that a war god had fallen under the 3 peaks and 2 valleys, and his body and will had merged with this place. This news might be true. This intermediate combat king in front of him might have swallowed a trace of a spirit's aura, which was why it had grasped a spirit's power. Swoosh! The intermediate combat king that grasped a spirit once again dashed toward Lin Feng. Boom! Lin Feng unleashed his power and charged toward the intermediate combat king. After a fierce battle, Lin Feng finally killed the intermediate combat king. Lin Feng slightly furrowed his brows. This intermediate combat king that grasped a spirit was actually so powerful that it was able to withstand more than 10 of his attacks before being killed. This was out of Lin Feng's expectations. Roar! 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 Suddenly, roars could be heard from afar. Over 100 intermediate combat kings were charging toward Jiangqian. Lin Feng immediately engaged in a fierce battle with these intermediate combat kings. After a fierce battle, Lin Feng realized that not all intermediate combat kings had grasped spirit. Those who had grasped a spirit were only a small portion of the intermediate combat kings. Among the over 100 intermediate combat kings that were besieging Lin Feng, only 4 of them had grasped its spirit. Therefore, Lin Feng guessed that among the intermediate combat kings, only 3% of them had grasped its spirit. Currently, over 100 intermediate combat kings, in addition to 4 intermediate combat kings who had grasped its spirit, were besieging Lin Feng. This made it slightly difficult for Lin Feng. The main reason was that Lin Feng had only comprehended the first stage of the Sword Dao's spirit. Therefore, it was slightly difficult for him to use it. When over 100 intermediate combat kings once again charged toward Jiangqian, Lin Feng switched to his attacking mode. "I have a blade that can split the heavens and earth," shouted Lin Feng in a deep voice. He then raised his right hand. Bang! Lin Feng unleashed the sky-splitting blade. In the air, a gigantic blade beam condensed and slashed in all directions. Puff! A ripping sound could be heard. The intermediate combat kings were instantly killed by the blade beam. None of the over 100 intermediate combat spirits were able to escape. Roar! Roar! Deep within the forest, earth-shattering roars could be heard. Countless intermediate combat kings pounced toward Lin Feng. At the foot of the Great Path Peak, countless people were waiting for Lin Feng to walk out. However, Lin Feng was nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Look! Lin Feng's ranking on the crystal screen is moving again." Everyone's gazes turned to look at him in unison. Lin Feng's ranking was rapidly rising. Soon, it broke through to the top 200, and it was still climbing. Heavens, he's been fighting for such a long time. Why is he still able to fight? Doesn't he need to rest? Everyone's faces were filled with shock. Everything that was happening in front of them was too shocking. Even the deacons, inner circle geniuses, and even the elders were deeply shocked. Finally, Lin Feng's ranking broke through to the top 100. Everyone felt that it was unreal. In just a little more than a day, Jiang Qian had broken through to the top 100. This was simply like a legend. In the end, Lin Feng's ranking stopped at 57th place. This was a ranking that no one dared to believe. Who is Lin Feng? Even the elders shouted and directly soared into the sky, flying toward the depths of the Great Path Peak. Many deacons and inner circle geniuses followed behind the elders, rushing toward the Great Path Peak. They wanted to see who Lin Feng was. Chapter 6:14. Run, run, run. Lin Feng ran away like a madman, occasionally turning his head to look at the terrifying being behind him. It was a terrifying being surrounded by a divine light, and his body was emitting a destructive aura. Battle Emperor. That was definitely a War Emperor-level existence. That terrifying existence threw out a punch from a long distance away. Instantly, a huge fist light condensed in the void. "Sky Splitter," shouted Lin Feng in a deep voice. He raised his hand and attacked. Bang! An earth-shattering sound of collision was heard. Lin Feng's Sky Splitter was shattered by the fist. This was the strength of a Battle Emperor. The War Emperor probably possessed the power of a yin-yang realm cultivator. Lin Feng quickly dodged the punch. Even though he had dodged it, he was still blown a few dozen meters away by the force of the punch. Lin Feng felt a sharp pain all over his body, but he didn't dare to stop. He crawled up from the ground and continued running away. As for the War Emperor, he continued to chase after them. How unlucky! I actually encountered such a monstrous being. Lin Feng was extremely depressed. After killing those intermediate battle kings, he planned to go deeper and test the strength of a high-level battle king. However, he didn't expect that he would encounter a battle emperor before even seeing a high-level battle king. It was said that there were only a few battle emperors in the depths of the 3 peaks and 2 valleys, and every one of them was extremely terrifying. After fighting with one, Lin Feng finally realized how powerful this battle emperor was. He continued running. Finally, Lin Feng arrived at the edge of the 2nd peak. He immediately rushed out. The battle emperor couldn't leave the Great Path Peak, so he could only roar furiously. However, he couldn't catch up with Lin Feng. Lin Feng let out a long breath. He didn't stop and continued running back to his residence. When he returned to his residence, he found that Tian Zhengdao hadn't returned yet. The old drunkard had been drinking alone after sneaking back from the Great Path Peak. When he saw that Lin Feng had returned, the old drunkard was very happy. He said, "Come, drink with me." Lin Feng started drinking with the old drunkard. He didn't know that the Great Path Peak was in an uproar. A few elders went in to look for Lin Feng, but they couldn't find him. Many people were extremely regretful that they couldn't see Lin Feng. Many people were discussing who Lin Feng was, but not many people connected the Lin Feng who was on the Heaven and Earth ranking list with the new Lin Feng. After all, how could such a terrifying person be a new inner disciple? Shiwei Zhu and the others came back one after another. When they saw Lin Feng, they told him what had happened in the Great Path Peak. Lin Feng hadn't thought it would cause such a sensation. The next day, Tian Zhengdao came back, but he didn't look well. Lin Feng asked, "What happened?" Tian Zhengdao said, Xiao Ziang?" Lin Feng asked in surprise. "That's right, it's that grandson, Yu Zaij. He's also there," Tian Zhengdao said fiercely. Back then, Tian Zhengdao had been cheated by Yu Zaij. His family heirloom, the Bloodstone Jade, had been stolen by Yu Zaij. Later on, the Bloodstone Jade had fallen into the hands of Xiao Ziang. This Xiao Ziang was Yu Zaij's backer in the Blue Cloud sect. Xiao Ziang's grandfather was the 3rd elder of the Fog Capital Peak. He was at the yin-yang realm and always thought highly of himself. Lin Feng guessed that after meeting Xiao Ziang and Yu Zaij, Tian Zhengdao must have a stomach full of anger. Drink, drink. The depressed Tian Zhengdao poured all of his anger into drinking, which made the old drunkard extremely happy. The old drunkard liked to drink with Lin Feng and Tian Zhengdao. He only felt satisfied when they were completely drunk. Qin Yao arrived at Lin Feng's residence. She was as beautiful as ever, and her tall and slender figure made many men feel inferior. Her slender and straight legs added a lot of points to her beauty. Qin Yao smiled and said, "Junior brother Lin, you're really good at hiding things." Lin Feng guessed that Qin Yao already knew that the person on the heaven and earth rankings was him. He smiled and said, "Senior sister, you're praising me like this? I'm ashamed." Qin Yao giggled. She was truly beautiful and alluring. She smiled and said, "I came here because Brother Guoxiao asked me to invite you to a gathering." Lin Feng sighed inwardly. It was indeed different to be strong. Even someone like Guoxiao would take the initiative to get on his good side. Lin Feng nodded and asked, "Where is it?" "It's at Senior Brother Guoxiao's residence." "It's just him, me, and you," Lin Feng said. "Then I'll have to trouble you to lead the way." Qin Yao rolled her eyes at Lin Feng and said, "Don't be so polite with me in the future. Otherwise, we'll be estranged." Lin Feng smiled and nodded. When they arrived at Guoxiao's residence, Lin Feng cupped his fists and said with a smile, "Greetings, Senior Brother Guo." Guoxiao laughed and patted Lin Feng's shoulder. He said amiably, "There are no outsiders here, so you don't have to be so polite. I've always wanted to find an opportunity to get closer to you, but I've been busy with various matters and only found the time now. Junior brother, please don't blame me." Guoxiao was very good at winning people over. Lin Feng smiled and said that he wouldn't dare. Qin Yao smiled and said, "Are the two of you going to stand and talk until dawn? Why don't you sit down and talk while eating?" Guoxiao smiled and invited Lin Feng to take a seat. During the meal, the three of them chatted about many things, and it was quite pleasant. At that moment, Guoxiao suddenly asked, "Junior brother, do you have a grudge with Lin Qingshan?" Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat, and he nodded. "We do have a grudge." Lin Feng then told Guoxiao about what had happened. Qin Yao said angrily, "I already said that the people from the Qingyang sect weren't good people, and it was just as I guessed. From the third-generation disciples to the elders, they're all jackals of the same tribe." Guoxiao said, "Over the years, the Qingyang sect has gradually become estranged from our Blue Cloud sect. I'm afraid that they've forgotten who helped establish the Qingyang sect. They're a bunch of ingrates. Junior brother, since you have a grudge with the Qingyang sect, even though they can't interfere with the matters of the Blue Cloud sect, you still have to be careful of one person in the Blue Cloud sect." "Senior brother, are you talking about Elder Lu Mingcong?" Lin Feng suddenly remembered that Lu Mingcong and Lu Qingshan had been riding on a red-crowned crane the other day. He didn't know what their relationship was, so he asked. Guoxiao nodded. "Lu Mingcong is Lu Qingshan's nephew. Even though he's always smiling, I know him the best. He's vicious and merciless, so junior brother, you have to be careful of him." "Thank you for reminding me, senior brother." Lin Feng cupped his fists in gratitude. Guoxiao smiled. When he saw Lin Feng thank him, he knew that Lin Feng had remembered what he had said. He had done Lin Feng a favor in order to befriend Lin Feng. A genius like Lin Feng might soar in the future, so Guoxiao had done him a favor before he matured. If he really matured in the future, Guoxiao knew that the favor he had done today would have an extraordinary meaning. Chapter 6:15. Gravity Room. This was a training ground for inner disciples, and there was a gravity formation here. It was definitely a good place to temper one's body. Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao came to the gravity room to train. There were many disciples in the gravity room. They were all here to temper their bodies. The gravity chambers were divided into different levels. The lowest was the 3x gravity chamber, followed by the 5x, 10x, 20x, 50x, and the highest was the 2000x gravity chamber. Starting from the foot of the mountain, the higher one went, the stronger the gravity would be. Lin Feng and Tianzhong Dao started in the 3x gravity room at the bottom. The reason why they started was because they wanted to get used to the environment. When they entered the 3 times gravity room, they found that there were many inner disciples there as well. After entering, they felt a slight pressure. The gravity room puts the whole body in a state of burden. It's indeed a good place to temper one's body. Lin Feng nodded. Indeed, it's like that. Tian Zhongdao nodded as well. The two went up. 3 days later, they arrived at the 100 times gravity room. In the room, Lin Feng felt that his blood was flowing faster. His muscles were being torn apart, but they were recovering quickly. Lin Feng was very surprised. Undying blood? Lin Feng frowned. He didn't even use the archaic dragonesque elephant art. He just let his body recover, but the recovery speed was too fast. Lin Feng remembered the jade tube his father had left him. His bloodline had the powerful undying blood. Everyone had a martial spirit. However, not everyone had a special bloodline. It was already considered good if one out of hundreds of millions of cultivators had a special bloodline. Lin Feng knew what a special bloodline meant. Once it was awakened, one would obtain terrifying strength. Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao continued to the 150 times gravity room. When they arrived, there were only a dozen disciples left. Clearly, the 150 times gravity room's gravity was too strong. What surprised Lin Feng was that Tian Zhongdao was also quite relaxed. Clearly, Tian Zhongdao's physical body was also very terrifying. Although Tian Zhongdao didn't usually reveal his strength, his cultivation was extremely terrifying. After all, Tian Zhongdao had twin martial souls. With two martial souls, Tian Zhongdao could be considered a heaven-defying monster. Furthermore, as his cultivation increased, the advantage of his twin martial souls would also increase. Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao arrived at the 200 times gravity room. Tian Zhongdao opened the door and said, "The 200 times gravity room is empty. There's no one here." Lin Feng smiled and said, "It's better that no one disturbs us." A smile appeared on Tian Zhongdao's face. They were about to enter the 200x gravity room. At that moment, a voice rang out, "We want to use this gravity room. Get out of here." Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao looked over and saw 4 disciples walking over. 3 men and 1 woman. The woman was extremely flirtatious. She was quite pretty, but her heavy makeup made her look a lot worse. Of the 3 male disciples, one was as thin as a log and had a gloomy look in his eyes. The second one was a disciple with a medium build. The third one was quite handsome. It was obvious that the 4 of them were senior disciples. They looked at Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao with arrogant expressions. Tian Zhongdao said, The gravity room is so big. Everyone can cultivate together?" The 4 couldn't help but roll their eyes. "I see that not only are you stuttering, but you're also stupid. Don't you understand what I mean when I tell you to get out? We're going to use this place ourselves. As for you, you can go wherever you want to cultivate." Tian Zhongdao was instantly enraged. Because of his stuttering, Tian Zhongdao had been ridiculed a lot since he was young. It was a pain in his heart. When he heard the inner disciple use the word stuttering to mock him, he immediately became furious. "You, why are you scolding me? Are you scolding me? Am I scolding you? Am I wrong? Aren't you a stutterer?" The rather handsome inner disciple grinned. The rest of the people also laughed out loud. Looking at Tian Zhongdao's face, which had turned red from anger, they all had a gloating expression. "Dao, apologize," Tian Zhongdao said with a gloomy expression. "You want me to apologize? Who do you think you are? A new inner disciple dares to ask me to apologize? Have you gone blind?" That handsome disciple suddenly cursed. The seductive woman frowned and said, "Fengping, hurry up and tell those 2 to scram as far away as possible. How can they cultivate if they continue to block the way here?" When the disciple called Shuo Ping heard the woman's impatient voice, he smiled coldly and said, "Did you hear that? Senior Sister Chu asked you to get lost." Tian Zhongdao's face turned ashen, but he wasn't good at talking. Lin Feng walked out and said coldly, "We're all inner disciples. We didn't want to make a big deal out of this, but you didn't give us any face." At that moment, the conflict attracted a lot of attention. Many disciples looked over. It's Chunan and Shuoping. It looks like they're having a conflict. Those 2 are new inner disciples, right? It's not wise to offend Zhouping and the others. Those guys aren't good people. Looks like those 2 are in for a bad time. They'll either be taught a lesson by Shuoping, or they'll have to contribute a lot of spirit stones to appease their anger. Shuoping likes to cause trouble for new inner disciples. If those disciples know what's good for them, Shuoping's group won't get anything. If they dare to resist, they'll definitely be taught a lesson. Shuoping's group can then extort a lot of spirit stones. It's not the first time they've done this. Some of the inner sect disciples were discussing among themselves. Their tone was filled with disdain towards Shuoping and the others. Shuoping sneered and said, "Face? Who do you think you are? You want me to give you face?" Boom. As soon as Shuoping finished speaking, Lin Feng attacked. Fast, too fast. Before anyone could react, they saw Shuoping being punched to the ground. Then, the new inner disciple stepped on Shuoping's face. What's going on? Everyone thought that Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao were in for a bad time, but who would have thought that the new inner disciple would dare to attack Shuoping? Moreover, he had even knocked Shuoping down and stepped on his face. This scene stunned many people, and they still hadn't recovered from their shock. Chapter 616. Is that guy crazy? How dare he attack Shuoping? Shuoping must have been careless. That little brat managed to sneak attack him. Shuoping is probably going crazy. He was actually trampled on by a new disciple. That's a great humiliation. Many inner disciples were discussing the matter. Obviously, not many of them believed that Lin Feng had defeated Shuoping because he was strong. That little brat was indeed fast. But being fast didn't mean he was strong. Shuoping had been ambushed by a sneak attack. Most of the inner disciples thought so. They were all watching the battle as if they were waiting to watch a good show. Good. Hit. 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 Hit well. Tian Zhongdao clenched his fists and shouted excitedly. He found himself admiring his brother Lin Feng more and more. That domineering aura wasn't something that just anyone could possess. Just think about it. If it was any other new inner court disciple that encountered such a situation today, they would probably be humiliated and leave, right? But what about his brother Lin Feng? He didn't care if Shuoping was an experienced inner disciple or not. Little brat, how dare you humiliate me like that? Let go of me if you dare. I can crush you with one hand. Shuoping shouted angrily. When he looked at Lin Feng, his eyes were filled with killing intent. Shuoping knew that no matter what the result was, he would lose all his face. It wasn't hard to imagine that soon, news of Shuoping being punched by a new inner disciple and being trampled on would spread throughout the inner sect. At that time, he would become the laughingstock of the inner sect. Oh, you can crush me with one hand? All right, I'll give you a chance. Lin Feng sneered and kicked Shuoping a dozen meters away. Shuoping roared and crawled up from the ground. His face was distorted. Is that little brat stupid? He actually let go of Shuoping. Even though Shuoping isn't that strong, he's still a martial king of the 9th celestial layer. That little brat just joined the inner sect. Does he really think he can defeat Shuoping? Yeah, just wait and see. That brat will probably regret it later. I can already see the scene of that brat's limbs being crushed. Many of the inner sect disciples were discussing among themselves. They looked at Lin Feng with pity in their eyes. In their opinion, anyone who offended Lin Feng would not have a good ending. Brat, I'll let you know the consequences of offending me. His wrinkled face was filled with murderous intent. Break his legs. Shuffling's other two male companions also cried out. The flirtatious female disciple, Chu Nan, sneered and said, "Make this brat kneel on the ground and kowtow to apologize." Chu Nan and the others naturally believed that Zhou Ping could easily take care of Lin Feng. It was not difficult at all. Boom. Shuoping attacked. He quickly rushed towards Lin Feng and punched out at Lin Feng. Shuoping used the myriad beast frenzy dragon fist, which was a secret technique passed down from ancient times. It was also one of the benefits of the Blue Cloud sect's inner sect disciples. Lin Feng had also received the myriad beast dragon fist when he had first joined the inner sect. However, Lin Feng had not practiced it yet. The 10,000 beast frenzy dragon fist was extremely powerful. When he punched, a destructive chi emerged in the air, engulfing the earth and sky. It was moving straight towards Lin Feng. That kind of power was astonishing. The faint image of a ferocious beast condensed behind Shuoping. That ferocious beast bared its fangs and brandished its claws. Its roar shook the sky. That ferocious beast looked like a dragon, but it also looked like a flood dragon. It looks like a flood dragon, but also like a dragon. Damn, Shuoping has already mastered the myriad beast dragon fist. Many people cried out in alarm. Once this 10,000 beasts mad dragon fist was cultivated to the great accomplishment realm, it would be extremely terrifying. It was said that one punch could easily kill a ferocious beast. That brat won't be killed by Shuo Ping's punch, right? Many disciples cried out in alarm. In their opinion, Lin Feng would not be able to block Shuo Ping's myriad beast dragon fist. Chu Nan and the others sneered as they looked at Lin Feng. They could already see Lin Feng being killed by Shuo Ping's punch. The myriad beast dragon fist was about to strike. Lin Feng's body was about to explode. At that moment, everyone saw Lin Feng move. He only took a step to the left. Shuo Ping's myriad beast dragon fist hit nothing but air. It can't be, right? That brat is so lucky. Many people looked as if they had seen a ghost. No one had expected this to happen. Lin Feng had actually dodged Shuo Ping's myriad beast dragon fist. Shun Ping's pupils contracted violently. He wanted to retreat quickly, but in the next moment, Shun Ping felt a terrifying force slamming into his abdomen. Intense pain engulfed his entire body. Shuo Ping was blown dozens of meters away by Lin Feng's punch. Thump! Shuo Ping fell to the ground. Wah! Shuo Ping coughed up a mouthful of blood. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper. Demon spirit! Zhou Ping endured the intense pain and roared. Black mist surged out of his dantian, and within the black mist, an evil demon appeared. Shuo Ping is furious. He's even using his demon spirit. What a terrifying demon spirit. Shuo Ping's fate will be miserable if he angers him. Many people were staring at Lin Feng and Shuo Ping. Many people thought that the battle was about to end. Lin Feng had been lucky enough to dodge Shuo Ping's myriad beast dragon fist. He had even punched Shuo Ping, but luck would not always be with him. When Shuo Ping used his myriad beast dragon fist, Lin Feng's luck would run out and the battle would be over. But at that moment, everybody saw Lin Feng take a step forward. A terrifying qi emerged from Lin Feng's body. That aura directly enveloped Shuo Ping, who was about to use his demon spirit to kill Lin Feng, felt as if he had been struck by lightning. His demon spirit immediately dispersed, and he was oppressed by Lin Feng's qi. With a thump, he knelt on the ground. What a terrifying qi! Shuo Ping kicked an iron plate. He's too strong. That little boy was probably hiding his cultivation level. He's probably a cultivator of the 10th celestial layer. Many people were astonished when they saw Shuo Ping kneeling on the ground because of Lin Feng's qi. They realized that they had made a grave mistake. Lin Feng had defeated Shuo Ping twice not because of luck, but because he was too strong. The man in front of them was like a god or a demon. Many people were staring at Lin Feng in astonishment. Let me ask you, do you accept your defeat? Lin Feng looked at Shuo Ping, who was kneeling on the ground. When Shuo Ping and Lin Feng's eyes met, Shuo Ping felt his soul tremble. He was terrified. What kind of terrifying cultivator had he offended? Chapter 617. Even though he wanted nothing more than to cut Lin Feng into 1,000 pieces, he had no choice but to swallow his anger. He had to get out of Lin Feng's clutches first. He didn't want to continue fighting with Lin Feng. He would wait until he was free, and then find an opportunity to get his revenge. A wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. I submit. Shuo Ping clenched his teeth. Good. I'm just afraid you won't accept it. Lin Feng smiled calmly. Many people had mixed feelings when they saw this. The first reason was that Lin Feng, as a new disciple, was surprisingly strong. The second reason was that Lin Feng's strength had astonished everybody. The third reason was that in the Yun Hai sect, the strong were respected. So what if he was an experienced inner disciple? If he wasn't strong enough, he wouldn't be a match for the new disciples. Many people even warned themselves that they had to treat the new disciples as if they were experienced inner disciples. They shouldn't show off their status in front of the new disciples. If they encountered a powerful new disciple like Lin Feng, wouldn't they be in trouble? Can you let me go now? Shuo Ping looked at Lin Feng. Of course I'll let you go. I like tactful people like you the most. Now, get out of here. Lin Feng said calmly. All right, I'll get out. Shuo Ping stood up and prepared to leave. I said get out of here, not get out. Lin Feng's voice suddenly turned cold. What? You're telling me to get out? Shuo Ping's face turned ugly. The surrounding disciples were also astonished. They had thought that Lin Feng was telling Shuo Ping to leave. They hadn't thought that he was telling Shuo Ping to get out of here. That was too humiliating. Brat, a warrior prefers death to humiliation. Don't go too far, shouted Shuo Ping. His face was distorted. He looked at Lin Feng fiercely. If Lin Feng dared tell him to get out of here again, he would immediately fight Lin Feng to the death. When you insulted my brother, did you think that you were going too far? My brother asked you to apologize, but you told us to get out of here. Did you think that you were going too far? Now you're telling me that I'm going too far? Ridiculous. You're the one who started this. I'm not afraid. I'll say it one last time. Get out of here, or I'll cripple you. Do you believe me? Said Lin Feng in an ice-cold tone. Many people were astonished. This new disciple was way too aggressive. Furthermore, it was clear that he was a man of his word. In the end, Feng Ping clenched his teeth and said, Fine, I'll scram. Shuo Ping lay on the ground and rolled down the mountain. Many people's mouths twitched violently. Shuo Ping had actually rolled down the mountain. This was a complete loss of face for him. Let's go, whispered Chu Nan. His face was pale. He wanted to sneak away with the other two. But at that moment, Lin Feng's cold voice sounded. They didn't dare take another step. Did I say you could leave? Chu Nan's demonic voice echoed in their ears. The three of them looked at Lin Feng. Their faces were extremely pale. Shuo Ping was the strongest among them, but even he had been defeated so miserably. What about them? Said Chu Nan in a trembling voice. Shuo Ping was the one who attacked you. It has nothing to do with us. You should go and cause trouble for Shuo Ping. That's right. It's all Shuo Ping's fault. It really has nothing to do with us. We don't like Shuo Ping's way of doing things, said the other two hurriedly. Many inner disciples looked at Chu Nan and the other two with disdainful eyes. No matter what, they were in the same group. But now, they wanted to cut ties with them? This was truly shameful. Lin Feng sneered and said, Who was the one who said that Shuo Ping should break my legs? The two male disciples paled and hurriedly said, We were wrong. We're willing to give you spirit stones as compensation. Do you think I care about your spirit stones? Lin Feng sneered. I won't make things difficult for you. You two can roll down the mountain as well. The two disciples' expressions changed. If they really did roll down the mountain, they knew that they would lose all face. However, in front of such a domineering Lin Feng, they had no power to resist. Let's roll. The two of them gritted their teeth and lay down on the ground, one in front of the other. They rolled down the mountain like Feng Ping. Lin Feng looked at Chu Nan. Chu Nan was so scared that her entire body trembled, and she pleaded, Junior brother, I was wrong. Tonight, I'll apologize to Junior brother. When the time comes, I'll agree to whatever Junior brother wants to do. Chu Nan looked at Lin Feng pitifully and deliberately bent over, revealing a large part of her snow-white body. That slut wants to sell her body again. Many inner disciples cursed in low voices, but many of them looked at the slutty Chu Nan with burning eyes. Chu Nan's reputation in the Blue Cloud sect was very bad, and she had slept with many disciples. Of course, not just anyone could sleep with Chu Nan. Last time, they had to pay 100 high-grade spirit stones. That was almost a month's worth of benefits for an ordinary inner disciple. Among the crowd, there were a few disciples who had slept with Chu Nan. When they thought of how slutty Chu Nan was in bed, they felt an evil fire burning in their lower abdomens. They couldn't help but look at Lin Feng with envy. This brat could sleep with a slut like Chu Nan tonight, and he didn't even need to pay anything. Lin Feng looked at Chu Nan with disgust. How could he be interested in such a vulgar woman? Moreover, who knew how many men had slept with a slut like her? Lin Feng felt a little disgusted just thinking about it. He coldly looked at Chu Nan. Don't disgust me. Do you want me to kick you down the mountain? Chu Nan's face turned pale when she saw Lin Feng's ferocious expression. She didn't dare continue acting coquettishly in front of Lin Feng. No way. A woman delivered herself to his door, and he's not going to sleep with her? Is there something wrong with this brat's head? Many people muttered. They wished they could be Lin Feng and drag Chu Nan to bed right now. Since you're a woman, I don't want to bicker with you too much. You can leave. Lin Feng waved his hand and shooed her away. Chunan didn't expect Lin Feng to let her go so easily. She hurriedly ran down the mountain. When she turned around, her face was full of resentment. When she thought about how she had thrown herself at Lin Feng, only to be ridiculed by Lin Feng, Chunan hated Lin Feng even more. I'll make you pay. Chunan's eyes were filled with hatred. Chunan's eyes were filled with hatred. He arrived at the foot of the mountain and gathered with Zhou Ping and the other two. If I don't get my revenge, I'm not human, shouted Shuo Ping furiously. Let's go find young Master Xiao and ask him to avenge us, said Chu Nan through clenched teeth. Young Master Xiao was Xiao Ziyang, who was also one of Chu Nan's lovers. Chu Nan's so-called lovers would charge her spirit stones if she slept with other men, but Xiao Ziyang would do it for free. If Chu Nan ran into trouble in the sect that she couldn't solve, Xiao Ziyang would help her. Chapter 618. The 200x gravity room was indeed much more challenging than the 150x gravity room. Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao entered the room to cultivate. At this time, Chu Nan and the others arrived at Xiao Ziyang's residence. Xiao Ziyang knew how to enjoy life. He had his own courtyard, a few servants, and a few maids to serve him. Is senior brother Xiao here? Shuo Ping asked. A servant replied. The young master was summoned to the outer sect by an elder. He'll be back in a few days. The elder the servant was referring to was naturally Xiao Ziyang's grandfather, the third elder of the Fog Capital Peak. Thank you for the information. Shuo Ping cupped his fists. The servant nodded, then entered the courtyard and closed the door behind him. A dog servant dares to act so arrogantly in front of me? Shuo Ping couldn't help but curse viciously. With a backer in the sect, all servants were superior. Seeing Shuo Ping walk over, Chunan asked, Is young Master Xiao here? He was summoned to the outer sect by Elder Xiao. He'll be back in a few days. Shuo Ping replied. Chunan gritted his teeth. Let that brat be free for a few more days. When young Master Xiao returns, he'll pay a painful price. 3 days later, Lin Feng arrived at the 800x gravity room, while Tian Zhongdao stayed in the 600x gravity room to cultivate. There were 3 other disciples in the room, 2 men and 1 woman. The first male disciple was tall and sturdy, and his entire body was filled with explosive power. The second male disciple was tall and slender, and was very handsome. The female disciple was tall and sexy, and her face was also very beautiful. However, there was a 7-centimeter-long scar on the left side of her face, which ruined her delicate and beautiful face. The fact that these 3 could cultivate in the 800x gravity room meant that they were definitely geniuses in the inner sect. When they saw Lin Feng enter, they were all astonished. Obviously, they didn't expect someone to cultivate in the 800x gravity room at this time. Furthermore, he looked very unfamiliar. Could it be that he was a new inner sect disciple? Thinking up to this point, the 3 of them couldn't help but be shocked. They simultaneously narrowed their eyes and looked at Lin Feng. After entering the 800x gravity room, Lin Feng could feel the terrifying pressure enveloping him. It was as if he was carrying a huge mountain. Every step he took produced rumbling sounds. What a terrifying gravitational force. If I hadn't been strong enough, I would have been crushed into a meat patty. Lin Feng was secretly shocked. The 800x gravity room was indeed different. Kid, don't walk around here. If you do, the gravity here will tear your body apart. The burly disciple said. Thanks for the reminder. Lin Feng cupped his fists. The 3 inner disciples sat cross-legged and circulated their cultivation methods. Because this was an 800 times gravity room, the difficulty of cultivating here was 800 times more than the outside world. Therefore, cultivation was very difficult, and one would have to endure great pain and torment. However, those who were able to persevere would obtain great benefits. During this period of time, Lin Feng had been training in the gravity room. He hadn't used the archaic dragonesque elephant formula to protect his body. Instead, he used his physical body to train. Lin Feng wanted to see how strong his body was. Moreover, Lin Feng had another goal. He wanted to try activating his immortal god body. The results of the tempering during this period of time were obvious. After Lin Feng's muscles were torn apart by the powerful gravity of the gravity room, they recovered very quickly. Moreover, each time they recovered, Lin Feng's physical body became even stronger. Of course, the three inner disciples sitting cross-legged didn't expect that Lin Feng had entered the 800x gravity room purely relying on his physical body. They had all circulated their cultivation methods to protect their bodies. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to enter by relying on their physical body. Lin Feng was different from them. Lin Feng's physical body was too strong. Lin Feng looked at a stone lion in the 800x gravity room. He walked towards it. What's this guy doing? The handsome inner disciple frowned slightly. It seems that this brat has turned a deaf ear to your words, Wu Kuang. The female disciple smiled faintly. Soon, he'll suffer, said Lin Feng. Wu Kuang glanced coldly at Lin Feng. But in the next moment, Wu Kuang's jaw dropped. He saw Lin Feng walk towards the stone lion and put it on his shoulder. How is this possible? Wu Kuang and the other two were in disbelief. If they were in the outside world, lifting a 1,000-gene stone lion would be as easy as blowing off dust. However, they were in the 800x gravity room, which contained the power of the law of gravity. Lifting a 1,000-gene stone lion on his shoulder was tantamount to lifting dozens of towering mountains. Ha! Lin Feng shouted and started frog jumps with the stone lion on his shoulder. With each frog jump, Lin Feng felt as if his muscles were about to explode. Chi-chi. His muscles were constantly being torn apart, and intense pain engulfed his body. However, at that moment, a terrifying power surged out of Lin Feng's body and quickly repaired his torn muscles. Undying power. Lin Feng's undying divine body had yet to awaken. However, his blood contained the undying power. Lin Feng's relentless tempering of his body had awakened the dormant, undying bloodline in Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng believed that as his undying bloodline gradually awakened, his body would awaken. Sooner or later, his undying bloodline would awaken. At that time, Lin Feng, who had cultivated the archaic dragonesque elephant art and possessed the undying bloodline, would have terrifying battle prowess. After an hour of frenzied tempering, Lin Feng let out a long breath and threw the stone lion on the ground. He nodded at the three dumbfounded disciples and walked out of the 800x gravity room, heading towards the 1000x gravity room. Who is this brat? Is he really a new disciple? Isn't his body too monstrous? It's indeed terrifying. He's probably on par with the top 3 freaks on the heaven and earth ranking. The 3 cultivators smiled wryly. Initially, they thought that even though they weren't as strong as the top 3 cultivators on the heaven and earth list, they were still strong enough. But when they saw Lin Feng's strength in the 800x gravity room, they were astonished. But very quickly, they regained their fighting spirit. Looks like I'll have to increase the weight. Wu Kuang took out an armor made of stone and put it on his body. This stone was called basaltic stone, and it weighed about 50 kilograms. The other two nodded and took out stone armors. Lin Feng's performance had impressed the 3 of them, so they didn't mind getting injured. They wanted to increase the weight of their armors. Chapter 619. Chu Nan, Shua Ping, and the others once again arrived at Xiao Ziyang's residence. This time, they saw Xiao Ziyang. When he saw that Chu Nan had come to find him, a wicked smile appeared on his face, as if he hadn't played with this vixen in a while. Come, let me introduce you. This is junior brother Yu Zige, and this is junior sister Chu Nan. This is junior brother Shua Ping, junior brother Zhang Pei, and junior brother Ding Lei. Xiao Ziyang introduced them to each other. So it's senior sister Chu Nan. I've heard that senior sister Chu Nan is as beautiful as a fairy. Today, you're really beautiful, Yu Zige said flatteringly. Seeing that Yu Zige was praising her beauty despite being so handsome, Chu Nan felt quite pleased. She smiled and said, Junior brother, you're flattering me. We should hang out more in the future. As he spoke, he licked his lips and winked at Yu Zige. Yu Zige thought to himself, this Chu Nan really is an expert in romance. She must have a lot of experience. I'll find a chance to do her. At that moment, Xiao Ziyang asked, May I know what brings my junior sisters and brothers here today? Chu Nan immediately put on a pitiful expression and said with tears in her eyes, Senior brother, I was bullied at the peak of gravity. Oh, what happened? Let's hear it. Who doesn't know that you're under my protection? Who dares bully you? Do they not want to live anymore? Xiao Ziang's expression suddenly sank. Chu Nin added fuel to the fire. It's two new disciples. Not only did they steal the gravity room we wanted, but they also beat up junior brother Shuo Ping. They even made junior brother Shuo Ping and the others roll down the peak of gravity. When I mentioned senior brother Zhao's name, that guy actually said, "Who the hell is senior brother Xiao?" It would have been fine if we were humiliated, but they didn't even respect senior brother Xiao. We couldn't take it anymore and came to tell senior brother Xiao about it. Xiao Ziang sneered. So there are new disciples who don't know what's good for them. Junior sister, don't worry, I'll make them pay. However, junior sister, come with me first. I have something to tell you in private. Xiao Ziang stood up and walked inside.
Yes.
Chu Nin followed behind him. Not long after, Chu Nan's exaggerated cries came from inside. So coquettish. Yu Zige narrowed his eyes and couldn't help but fantasize. Inside the thousand-fold gravity room, Lin Feng grabbed a stone lion with one hand and put it on his shoulder. He was running back and forth in the 1,000 times gravity room. Puff puff. All the muscles in Lin Feng's body were torn apart, and blood immediately flowed out. Not long after, Lin Feng was covered in blood. This method of tempering the body was simply too cruel. If he didn't treat himself harshly, how would he be able to increase his cultivation by a large margin? When other people entered the gravity room to temper their bodies, they had to circulate their cultivation techniques to protect their bodies. They had to proceed step by step and be careful, because they were afraid of injuring their bodies. But Lin Feng wasn't afraid. He hurriedly refined his physical body in the gravity room. Whenever he was injured, his body would quickly recover. Under this kind of crazy ravaging, Lin Feng's physical body became stronger and stronger. Furthermore, because his physical body was continuously injured, it was continuously being repaired. The undying power in Lin Feng's blood was gradually being stimulated. Lin Feng's blood was flowing through his body at an incredible speed. His blood was condensing in his dantian. After 3 hours of crazy tempering in the 1,000-fold gravity room, Lin Feng was completely exhausted. He laid on the ground and gasped for breath. Lin Feng's blood was flowing through his veins at an incredible speed, healing his injuries. At this time, Lin Feng looked around his body. Suddenly, his eyes widened, as if he saw something inconceivable. Blood. Lin Feng suddenly sat up from the ground. He found a drop of golden blood in his dantian. That drop of blood emitted a shocking energy fluctuation. It seemed to contain an endless amount of essence. That drop of golden blood finally entered Lin Feng's blood. Wherever the golden blood passed, Lin Feng's injuries could be seen recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Undying divine blood. Lin Feng's face was full of surprise. This must be the undying divine blood. The first drop of undying divine blood had condensed in his body. Lin Feng's consciousness entered his body and locked onto the undying divine blood. The undying divine blood's recovery speed was too fast. Lin Feng's body could be said to be covered in injuries, but it didn't take long for the undying divine blood to completely heal him. I recovered in 15 minutes? Lin Feng's face was full of shock and emotion. His previous injuries would have required at least a few days of rest to recover, but the undying divine blood had only used 15 minutes to heal Lin Feng. This was the terror of the undying divine blood. I've finally awakened the first drop of undying divine blood. Lin Feng smiled. A journey of 1,000 miles began with a single step. The first step was often the most difficult. Now, Lin Feng had awakened the first drop of undying divine blood. He believed that sooner or later, his undying divine body would also awaken. Lin Feng pushed open the stone door and walked out of the gravity room. Tian Zhongdao was waiting for Lin Feng in the forest. When he saw Lin Feng covered in dried blood, he couldn't help but be moved. How much had he tortured himself? Was that why he was covered in blood? Bro, you're crazy. You don't want your life anymore, said Tian Zhongdao. I have a martial heart, said Lin Feng. Lin Feng laughed and walked down the mountain with Tian Zhongdao. As soon as they reached the foot of the mountain, they heard a cold laugh. Brat, stop right there. Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao looked over and saw Zhou Ping, Chunan, and the others. When Lin Feng saw them, his face sank. They had actually appeared again. Clearly, they didn't have good intentions. Lin Feng suddenly realized that Tian Zhongdao's expression had become gloomy as he stared at the person behind Chunan. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He also saw Yu Zige in the group. When he thought about Tian Zhongdao's reaction, he was sure that the disciple with the gloomy gaze was Xiao Ziyang. Xiao Ziyang had stolen Tian Zhongdao's family's jade pendant. A while ago, Tian Zhongdao had been humiliated by Xiao Ziyang when he came out of the Great Dao Peak. Now, Chunan, Zhou Ping, and the others had found Xiao Ziyang to avenge them. Some people are really despicable. Being taught a lesson once wasn't enough, and now they're here looking for a beating. Lin Feng glanced at them and sneered. Zhou Ping immediately sneered and said, "Brat, don't be too proud. Today, senior brother Xiao will stand up for us. Let's see how you die. If you kneel on the ground and kowtow to us, we might spare you." Chunan sneered. Lin Feng's cold gaze swept over Chunan. Chunan, who had wanted to continue mocking and ridiculing him, met Lin Feng's cold gaze. He was so scared that he trembled and swallowed the words he wanted to say. Chapter 620. I was wondering who it was. So it's you. At that moment, Xiao Ziyang walked over and coldly glanced at Tian Zhongdao. He obviously remembered him. A few days ago, they had met. At that time, Tian Zhongdao had wanted to take back the Bloodstone Jades, and had even said that he was willing to exchange them for something else. However, Xiao Ziyang had mocked him and Tian Zhongdao hadn't attacked him, so Xiao Ziyang had thought that Tian Zhongdao was a coward. Now that he had seen Tian Zhongdao again, he couldn't help but mock him. Tian Zhongdao looked gloomy and clenched his fists. He was obviously trying to control his anger. If he didn't care about Xiao Ziyang's background, he would have attacked him already. Look, isn't that Chunan, Xu Ping, and the two new disciples who had a conflict a few days ago? Indeed, it's them. Back then, Chunan, Xu Ping, and the others had suffered a great loss. It seems that Xiao Ziyang is involved now. Tsk, Chunan is really strong. He even managed to invite Xiao Ziyang. That's easy. Chunan is Xiao Ziyang's lover. The two new disciples are in trouble. Xiao Ziyang isn't a playboy. He's a cultivator of the 10th celestial layer. It's said that he's been trying to comprehend a spirit recently. I don't know if he's going to comprehend a spirit or not, but if he does, then he'll be terrifying. Indeed, since Xiao Ziyang is involved, the two new disciples are in trouble. There were a lot of people in the Peak of Gravity, so when they saw the conflict, they started talking and pointing at Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao. They all looked at them with pity. Many people thought that since Xiao Ziyang had intervened, Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao wouldn't have a good ending. Xiao Ziyang looked at Lin Feng and smiled coldly. "Little brat, you're the one who made Xu Ping and the others fall down from the Peak of Gravity? And you're still slandering me behind my back?" Lin Feng guessed that Chunan and the others would definitely exaggerate things about him in order to invite Xiao Ziyang. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent, but he did not care. Because of Tian Zhongdao, Lin Feng was destined to oppose Xiao Ziyang. What does that have to do with you? Lin Feng looked at Xiao Ziyang calmly. Xiao Ziyang's mouth twitched violently. He never thought that Lin Feng would dare to speak to him in such a manner. He was completely looking down on him. "Lin Feng, how dare you be so rude to senior brother Xiao? Are you courting death?" Yu Zigu coldly shouted. "Lin Feng? He's Lin Feng?" Many people were stunned. Even Xiao Ziyang's eyes widened. In the past few days, Lin Feng's name had become a hot topic in the inner court. Everyone was discussing who exactly was Lin Feng. However, after looking around, he still couldn't find an inner disciple who matched Lin Feng's identity. Thus, some people believed that the Lin Feng on the Heaven and Earth list was a fake name. As long as one had some tricks up his sleeve, making a fake inner disciple token was quite easy. Of course, after some investigation, they still managed to find a disciple called Lin Feng. But that disciple called Lin Feng had just become an elite disciple, that's all. Of course, nobody would think that a new elite disciple like Lin Feng was on the Heaven and Earth ranking list. After a brief moment of shock, many people shook their heads. They felt that it was just a coincidence. It was impossible for them to be the same person. You scared me. Xiao Ziang couldn't help but curse when he came back to his senses. Lin Feng looked at Yu Zige indifferently and said, Yu Zige, if I were you, I'd behave myself. I wouldn't come out and cause trouble. Yu Zige sneered, brat. This is the inner court. It's not a place for you to behave atrociously. Senior brother Xiao is still here. How do you think we should settle this matter today? How do you want to settle this? Lin Feng looked at Yu Zigu and the others indifferently. Even Xiao Ziang was just a clown in Lin Feng's eyes. He could crush him with one hand. A guy who hadn't even comprehended a spirit wasn't even qualified to be Lin Feng's opponent. Xiao Ziang said indifferently, compensate me with 1,000 high-grade spirit stones. Then kneel down and kowtow 10 times and slap yourself 10 times. Then, I'll let you go. Lin Feng sneered. He was about to say something when Tian Zhongdao angrily said, Don't go too far. Because of this bloodstone jade, I won't teach you a lesson today. However, this brat won't be able to escape. Hurry up and scram. Xiao Ziang sneered at Tian Zhongdao. Tian Zhongdao said angrily, You've humiliated me time and time again, and I've endured it. However, if you continue to humiliate me, bro, I won't let you go. Fuck. A piece of trash who can't even speak is saying that you won't let me go? Xiao Ziang immediately let out a mocking laugh. Stutterer Tian, hurry up and run as far away as you can. This has nothing to do with you. Yu Zigu pursed his lips. A stutterer dares to come out? What a clown. The world has really changed. Now, all kinds of Tom, Dick, and Harry come out and bark. Chu Nan and the others looked at Tian Zhongdao and mocked him. Many of the spectating disciples shook their heads and looked at Tian Zhongdao with pity. They could tell that Tian Zhongdao had a speech impediment and couldn't speak fluently. Now that his shortcomings were being mocked by a group of people, he felt extremely uncomfortable. Old Tian, I'll deal with today's matter. Lin Feng patted Tian Zhongdao's shoulder. Tian Zhongdao said, Lin Feng, leave it to me. You should rest. When Tian Zhongdao saw that Lin Feng was covered in blood, he guessed that Lin Feng must have used up a lot of energy in the gravity room. If he fought, he would be at a disadvantage. Furthermore, Tian Zhongdao couldn't tolerate Xiao Ziang forcing Lin Feng to kowtow and apologize, and even forcing Lin Feng to slap his own face. Just as Tian Zhongdao had said, if someone insulted him, he could tolerate it, but if someone insulted his brothers, he definitely wouldn't tolerate it. Lin Feng could see the determination in Tian Zhongdao's eyes. He nodded and retreated to the side. You don't know the difference between life and death. Since you don't want face, I'll deal with you as well. Xiao Ziang sneered and threw a punch at Tian Zhongdao. This move was called Splitting Mountain, and it was an extremely powerful technique. That new disciple who can't speak fluently is in trouble. He won't be killed by Xiao Ziang, will he? Many people cried out in alarm. Leap, moonwalk, kick, shouted Tian Zhongdao coldly. He stepped through the air and dodged Xiao Ziang's attack in an instant. He then circled behind Xiao Ziang. Oh no! Xiao Ziang's expression suddenly changed, and he tried to dodge. But at that moment, Tian Zhongdao's right leg ferociously lashed out. Bang! With a muffled sound, the arrogant Xiao Ziang was sent flying by Tian Zhongdao. His body flew a few dozen meters before crashing to the ground miserably. Chapter 621. Heavens, what's going on? Are my eyes playing tricks on me? Xiao Ziang was sent flying by a new disciple with a single kick? Am I dreaming? Many people shouted in disbelief. Xiao Ziang was at the 10th firmament of the Martial King realm. Xiao Ziang had yet to comprehend its spirit. However, Xiao Ziang had been at the 10th firmament of the Martial King realm for more than 2 years and had begun to comprehend the power of its spirit. Among the inner court disciples, Xiao Ziyang could be considered an expert. However, someone like him had been sent flying by a new disciple with a single kick. How could the disciples who were watching the commotion not be shocked and moved? Lin Feng, on the other hand, felt that it was normal. He had spent a lot of time with Tian Zhongdao and knew that although Tian Zhongdao did not usually reveal his strength was a little too strong. In terms of talent, he was not inferior to Lin Feng. Lin Feng had always suspected that Tian Zhongdao had comprehended two types of spirits. The first type of spirit was the secret technique that Tian Zhongdao had used during the small competition. Lin Feng had a deep impression of it. With a kitchen knife in hand, he had slashed out a dense net of knives. Although Tian Zhongdao had tried his best to conceal the aura of his spirit, Lin Feng, who had cultivated the archaic dragon-esque elephant art, was very sensitive to these special powers. Even though Tian Zhongdao had deliberately concealed the aura of his spirit, Lin Feng could still sense it. The other type of spirit should be related to Tian Zhongdao's invisibility martial soul. However, Tian Zhongdao had never used the second type of spirit. Therefore, Lin Feng did not dare to confirm whether Tian Zhongdao had truly comprehended the second type of spirit. However, Lin Feng had always been very confident in his intuition. Since he felt that Tian Zhongdao had comprehended the second type of spirit, he should not be wrong. Therefore, Tian Zhongdao was actually very scary. He was just more low-profile. "Brat, I'm going to tear you apart." Xiao Ziang crawled up from the ground. At this moment, his hair was disheveled and his body was covered in dirt. He looked extremely miserable. His face, which was already somewhat sinister, became even more twisted at this moment. Xiao Ziang's eyes were filled with endless rage and killing intent. Everything that had happened today was like a nightmare to Xiao Ziang. He was sent flying by a kick from a new disciple. This was simply a great humiliation. Boom. Xiao Ziang's body emitted an extremely terrifying aura. Within Xiao Ziang's dantian, gusts of wind swept across. Martial Spirit. Xiao Ziang is about to activate his martial spirit. Xiao Ziang is completely infuriated. His martial spirit is the Wind Blade martial spirit. Billions of wind blades, billions of blades. That kind of martial spirit's attacking power is terrifying. I wonder if that new disciple who can't speak properly can withstand it. Seeing Xiao Ziang unleash his martial soul, many people exclaimed in surprise. Xiao Ziang's body floated in midair as a gust of wind swept across the area. His expression was ice-cold, and his eyes were filled with a sinister light. "Senior brother Xiao, if you get serious, that guy will die." Chunin said. "That's right. Once senior brother Xiao unleashes his wind blade martial spirit, many of the top 100 inner disciples of the heaven and earth ranking will find it difficult to resist, let alone that stutterer." Shuo Ping nodded with an excited expression on his face. "Haha, that guy has infuriated senior brother Xiao. Let's see how he'll die." Yu Zai's face was filled with excitement. That guy had stolen Tian Zhongdao's family heirloom, the Blood Jade. Tian Zhongdao had come to seek revenge, but Tian Zhongdao had stepped on his face in the Ice Flame Town. He had also been defeated by Tian Zhongdao during the competition, so he had always hated Tian Zhongdao. Now that Xiao Ziang had unleashed his Wind Blade martial spirit, Yu Zai felt as if he could see Tian Zhongdao's body being cut into pieces by the Wind Blade martial spirit. Thinking about that made him extremely excited. The world is so big. There are so many strange martial spirits. Lin Feng was a little surprised as he looked at Xiao Ziang's Wind Blade martial spirit. Within the gust of wind, numerous wind blades appeared. Each of them was a blade. The Wind Blade martial spirit's attacking power was extremely strong. "Kid, can you feel the trembling? Don't worry, I won't kill you. Killing is forbidden in the sect, but fighting is not forbidden in the sect. Later, I'll let you taste the feeling of being cut into pieces." Xiao Ziang's face was filled with arrogance. "Wind Blade Storm," he roared. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. It was unknown how many wind blades there were, but all of them were aimed at Tian Zhongdao. What a terrifying storm. Many of the onlookers looked at the Wind Blade Storm, their faces turning as pale as paper. If they were sucked into it, wouldn't their bodies be torn to pieces? The terrifying storm enveloped Tian Zhongdao in an instant. At that moment, Tian Zhongdao activated his martial spirit. A martial spirit that looked like a kitchen knife appeared. Damn, a kitchen knife martial spirit? What kind of trash martial spirit is that? It's over. That guy is done for. I thought he could use his martial spirit to fight against Xiao Ziyang, but his martial spirit is a kitchen knife. How can he fight against Xiao Ziyang's wind blade martial spirit? Many people shook their heads, thinking that Tian Zhongdao would definitely lose this time. Falling into Xiao Ziyang's hands, even if he didn't die, he would lose a layer of skin. Chu Nan, Yu Zige, and the others were ecstatic. They couldn't wait for Tian Zhongdao to be torn to pieces by the wind blade martial spirit. Facing the powerful wind blade storm, Tian Zhongdao muttered in a voice that only he could hear. God-slaying blade, slash. Tian Zhongdao's kitchen knife martial spirit soared into the sky as soon as he finished speaking. He slashed the air. Puff. The wind blade storm was torn apart by Tian Zhongdao's kitchen knife martial spirit as if it was tofu. Blade chi shook the air. Bang! A blade chi slammed into Xiao Ziyang's body. Xiao Ziyang was sent flying as if he was struck by lightning. Even his protective upstanding chi was shattered. Plop! Xiao Ziyang fell from the sky and landed on the ground. Tian Zhongdao quickly walked in front of Xiao Ziyang and grabbed him by the neck, lifting him up. Gun grandson, I tolerated you before. No, not because I was afraid of you, but because I didn't want to cause any more trouble. Today, you dared to insult my brother. I'll whip you to death, you bastard. As soon as he finished speaking, Tian Zhongdao raised his right hand and swung it at Xiao Ziyang. Slap. That resounding slap landed heavily on Xiao Ziyang's face. Puff. Xiao Ziyang spat out a mouthful of blood, which was mixed with a few teeth. Only at this time did everyone come back to their senses. The surrounding disciples all had an expression of disbelief. How could such a trashy kitchen knife martial spirit slash apart such a powerful wind blade storm? Chunan, Yu Zige, Zhou Ping, and the others, who were originally full of themselves, were all pale with fright when they saw Xiao Ziyang being defeated by Tian Zhongdao. Chapter 622. What a powerful martial soul! Lin Feng was astonished. He knew that Tian Zhongdao's martial soul wasn't simple. It wasn't a kitchen knife martial soul. It just looked like a kitchen knife. Now that Tian Zhongdao had unleashed this martial soul, he had indeed displayed a strength that was so strong that it was shocking. You dare hit me? Let me tell you, my grandfather is an elder of the Fog Capital Peak. You're not going to have a good ending if you offend me. Let me go now, then kowtow and apologize to me, and I'll forgive you. Otherwise, you're dead. Xiao Ziyang cursed loudly, threatening Tian Zhongdao. I'll slap you, Tian Zhongdao said coldly as he slapped him again and again. Slap, 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 slap. Xiao Ziyang's face started to swell. Spare me. I was wrong. It was all my fault today. I'll apologize to you. Please spare me. Xiao Ziyang admitted defeat after being slapped a few dozen times and started to beg loudly. The arrogant Xiao Ziyang had turned into a terrified Xiao Ziyang. In the sect, only the strong were respected. Whoever was strong and had the hardest fists would live with dignity and status. Where is my bloodstone jade? Tian Zhongdao asked fiercely. It's here. I'll give it to you. Xiao Ziyang didn't dare to take Tian Zhongdao's bloodstone jade. He quickly took it out and gave it to Tian Zhongdao. Get lost. Tian Zhongdao threw Xiao Ziyang to the ground. Then, he walked towards Lin Feng. Spare us. It's all our fault. Since we're from the same sect, please spare us. Chunan, Xu Ping, Yu Zige, and the others looked at Tian Zhongdao and Lin Feng with pale faces. How should we deal with them? Tian Zhongdao asked Lin Feng. Lin Feng said, forget it. Taking care of them will only dirty our hands. Tian Zhongdao quickly followed Lin Feng. Lin Feng walked away, and Tian Zhongdao followed him. After returning, the days seemed to have returned to normal. Xiao Ziyang, who had suffered a great loss, did not appear again. However, Lin Feng and Tian Zhongdao were still on guard against Xiao Ziyang. Of course, they weren't afraid. Whatever came, they would lower their heads. A month's time was quickly passing. Once the 1-month entry period was over, the new disciple assessment would begin. Of course, the mission assessment this time wouldn't be particularly difficult and would be relatively easy to complete. However, it was said that the content of the mission assessment this time was different. There were dozens of different types of missions and assessments. Now, many disciples were discussing the content of the mission assessment, praying that they would be assigned a better mission. The best mission was to guard the spirit mine. The Blue Cloud sect had dozens of spirit mines of various sizes. If one could receive a mission to guard a spirit mine and stay in the spirit mine for a long period of time, they would definitely gain a lot. The sect would turn a blind eye to this kind of thing. However, it was not easy to obtain such a mission. The worst missions were some escort missions, because such missions were often escorting some relatively important people to a certain place. Naturally, they would encounter danger along the way. As for what kind of mission they would be assigned, it was unknown. This was the right of the sect elders. The disciples had no right to interfere. At night, the galaxy was filled with stars. Lin Feng sat cross-legged and comprehended the star map. As for the fire Qilin, it was lying on the ground and resting. Ever since the fire Qilin returned, Lin Feng noticed some changes in the fire Qilin's body. The fire Qilin had become very sleepy. In the past, the fire Qilin could eat a lot. Wherever it went, the kitchen would become a disaster area. However, the fire Qilin could sleep now. Obviously, something must have happened to the fire Qilin's body that Lin Feng didn't know about. However, since the fire Qilin didn't say anything, Lin Feng didn't ask. This was because Lin Feng knew the fire Qilin's character very well. If it could tell him something, the fire Qilin would definitely not hide it. Lin Feng's mind was immersed in the 90,000 stars. The 90,000 stars were arranged together. The starlight intertwined and condensed into the mysterious ancient expert. Lin Feng was comprehending the mysterious ancient expert's aura. Lin Feng slowly touched him. Every time he was about to touch the mysterious expert, Lin Feng's comprehension would be forcefully cut off. Lin Feng guessed that the mysterious expert had taken the initiative to cut off his comprehension with him. As for why, Lin Feng didn't know. However, every time he comprehended the star map, Lin Feng would feel his soul power increase. Now, Lin Feng would comprehend the star map every night. In addition, Lin Feng had a treasure like the heavenly star soul jade that continuously provided him with the power of the stars. His soul power improved very quickly. However, it was very difficult to improve one's soul power at the creation realm. Therefore, Lin Feng's soul power was still at the first level of the creation realm. Lin Feng tried to sense the mysterious expert's aura. He approached the mysterious expert bit by bit. In the past, every time Lin Feng was about to get close to the mysterious expert, he would be forcefully cut off from this state of comprehension. However, this didn't happen today. This made Lin Feng very surprised. Following which, Lin Feng's face lit up with joy. As the saying goes, there must be a demon when things are abnormal. He felt that something unusual might happen today. Lin Feng tried to use his soul power to make contact with the mysterious expert. Finally, under Lin Feng's efforts, his soul power came into contact with the mysterious expert. Boom! A terrifying aura surged out from the Star River world. The 90,000 stars that were originally motionless started to spin rapidly at this moment. His divine sense and that mysterious expert were at the center of it all. As for the 90,000 stars, they revolved around him and the mysterious expert, just like the celestial bodies in outer space. Satellites revolved around planets. Planets revolved around stars. Every time these stars revolved, a powerful star power would surge out and surge towards the center. The star power surged into Lin Feng's soul power and was absorbed by Lin Feng's soul power. When Lin Feng's soul power returned to his body, the majestic star power was absorbed by Lin Feng's soul power. Lin Feng found that his soul power had increased crazily. After comprehending the 90,000 stars, Lin Feng's soul power had broken through to the peak of the first heaven of the creation realm. This is... Lin Feng opened his eyes. His face was full of shock and emotion. The circulation of 90,000 stars actually greatly increased the power of his soul. This stargazing chart was really too mysterious. Could it be that the Archean stargazing art was really hidden in the stargazing chart? Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat when he thought of this ancient secret technique that was known as the #1 soul-refining divine art in the Archean era. He vaguely felt that the rumors were likely true. Moreover, the Archean stargazing art was even hidden in that galaxy. However, he needed to slowly comprehend it on his own before he could inherit the Archean stargazing art. Chapter 623. 5 days before the assessment, Guo Xiao and Qin Yao came to Lin Feng. Qin Yao smiled and said, "Brother Lin, Brother Guo has found you a good job this time." Lin Feng asked, "What kind of job is it?" "Go to the ancient barbarian mountains to train for a year." Qin Yao smiled. Going to the ancient barbarian mountains to train was naturally a good job. Disciples like them would be supervisors if they went to the ancient barbarian mountains. Where did the phrase embezzlement come from? That was how it came to be. Of course, it didn't mean that one could embezzle a large amount of spirit stones from the Blue Cloud sect, but taking a small amount wasn't a problem. This kind of thing was hard to avoid. Moreover, even if the disciples didn't do anything, the people in the ancient barbarian mountains would still give them gifts. Why was that? Because the disciples who went to the ancient barbarian mountains to train were all talented and were the future of the sect. Naturally, many people would try to curry favor with them. "Thank you, Senior Guo, for worrying about me." Lin Feng cupped his fists. Guo Xiao smiled and said, "It's not a big deal. Junior Lin, please don't take it to heart. Senior Guo rarely speaks for others, and Uncle Guo hates it when people go through the back door." This time, Senior Guo took the risk of being reprimanded by Uncle Guo to recommend you to go to the ancient barbarian mines. Moreover, Senior Guo suggested that you be the leader of the group. When the time comes, more than 20 disciples will follow your orders. If they don't listen to you, you can give them a very low score when they come back, and the sect will send them back to the outer sect. Qin Yao said. Lin Feng was shocked. He hadn't thought that the leader of the group would have such great authority. His shock could be said to be no small matter. Lin Feng said, "It seems that it's getting harder and harder to repay the favor I owe Senior Guo." Guo Xiao smiled and said, "Although we're fellow disciples, I've always treated Junior Lin as my own younger brother. What's there to talk about favors? Helping one's own brother is a normal thing to do." It had to be said that this Guo Xiao really knew how to deal with people. He helped Lin Feng, and with just a few words, he got closer to Lin Feng. Lin Feng invited them in and sat down. The three of them chatted for a while. He asked Shiweizhu, Tian Zhongdao, the old drunkard, Wang Hu, and the other heaven-mending peak disciples what kind of assessment mission they would receive. Guo Xiao smiled and said, "Junior Shiweizhu will also go to the ancient man-mining area. As for the others, I don't know." This is the list of those who are going to the ancient barbarian mining area. Guo Xiao handed a list of 22 people to Lin Feng. In addition to Shiweizhu, Wang Hu was also on the list. Guo Xiao took out the list to let Lin Feng familiarize himself with these people in advance. After all, Lin Feng would be training with these people for a period of time. Moreover, the sea demons wanted to control these people, so it was best to understand their personalities first. It would be easier to communicate with them and restrain them. After Guo Xiao and Qin Yao left, Lin Feng went to Shiweizhu's residence. When she saw Lin Feng arrive, she invited Lin Feng into her room. Shiweizhu's room was very simple, and it had a faint fragrance. It was simple yet elegant. Perhaps it was the first time she had let a man into her room, but Shiweizhu's face was slightly red. Lin Feng said, "It's like this. I found out from Senior Guo Xiao the list of disciples who will be going to the ancient man-mining area. Senior sister is also on it." Shiweizhu's expression immediately changed. She naturally knew how difficult it was to go to the mining area. It meant that they would be able to obtain a lot of spirit stones, which was extremely important for cultivation. Shiweizhu asked, "Junior brother, will you be going as well?" Lin Feng smiled and said, "I'll be the leader." Shiweizhu smiled and said, "With Junior brother's ability, you're more than qualified to be the leader. It seems like the great elder's foresight is quite accurate." After Lin Feng left Shiweizhu's residence, he went to Wang Hu's place and told him the news. Wang Hu was so excited that he danced with joy. Lin Feng felt that it was a pity that Tian Zhongdao wasn't on the list. Over the next few days, Lin Feng had Wang Hu gather information on the other members of the group. He carefully read through the information and gained a more familiar understanding of the group of disciples who would be going on a long journey together. The day of departure was getting closer and closer. That night, Lin Feng discovered that Old Drunkard had sneakily left his residence and was heading into the distance. Lin Feng frowned. Old Drunkard's actions had been very strange recently. This wasn't the first time he had snuck out late at night. This was because Lin Feng often observed the star chart at night. Thus, Lin Feng's mental state was especially strong every night, and he discovered Old Drunkard's strange actions. Today, Old Drunkard had snuck out again. Just what was he doing? Lin Feng had always felt that Old Drunkard had other motives for joining the Blue Cloud sect. Lin Feng silently followed behind Old Drunkard. They went deeper into the sect. Lin Feng was shocked. Old Drunkard wanted to enter the core disciple region. That place wasn't a place that inner disciples could easily enter. If they disturbed a core disciple's cultivation, they would be killed by a core disciple and could only accept their fate. Could it be that he's going to one of the core disciple peaks? Lin Feng muttered to himself. However, things went beyond his expectations. Old Drunkard circled around the core disciple peaks and finally arrived at a very desolate mountain. It was said that this mountain belonged to an extremely powerful core disciple. However, that core disciple seemed to have committed a grave mistake and was expelled from the sect. There was no news of that core disciple since then. This was something that happened a very long time ago. Currently, the mountain was covered with broken restrictive spells, making it look like a ghost mountain. Cold winds blew, and no one came. The only person who came was the Old Drunkard, who was sitting on a cliff, drinking wine under the moonlight. It was impossible to tell what he was thinking, and when dawn broke, he left. Why is that old man sneaking around here? Lin Feng shook his head and walked out of the forest. He paced back and forth in front of the cliff, but found nothing. Just as he was about to leave, Lin Feng suddenly stopped. He could faintly sense that there was a trace of Tao energy hidden here. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to sense it, but Lin Feng cultivated the archaic dragonesque elephant art. His perception was extremely powerful, and he could sense even the slightest trace of Tao energy. Lin Feng was shocked. He sat down cross-legged and wanted to sense it carefully, but he realized that he couldn't sense the Tao energy anymore. Tao energy? What's hidden here? Lin Feng frowned. This place wasn't simple at all. There was definitely an astonishing secret hidden here. However, if he wanted to discover this secret, he would need to be lucky. Wait for me to come back. I'll find out more, murmured Lin Feng. He stood up and left. The next day, the 500 new disciples of the Blue Cloud sect received an official notice from the sect. The one-year exam for new disciples had begun. Lin Feng and 20 other disciples were going to the ancient man mining area. They had to use a teleportation portal to go to Northern Wasteland City, then use another teleportation portal to go to Ancient Man City. From there, they had to take a beast carriage for half a month to reach the mining area. Chapter 624. Northern Desolate City was one of the 10 great ancient cities of the Desolate region, and the space-time wormhole to the Desolate region was located in Northern Desolate City. Ordinary teleportation arrays could only transport people between cities within a region, but space-time wormholes could transport people between regions. Lin Feng's group arrived at Northern Desolate City and walked out of the teleportation array. Lin Feng said, "Everyone must be tired after 3 days of teleportation arrays. Let's find a place to rest for a day before heading to Ancient Barbarian City." Everyone nodded and followed Lin Feng to find an inn. Because Lin Feng was the leader, he had the power to decide whether or not everyone could pass the test. So many people tried to curry favor with Lin Feng along the way. Lin Feng's group found an inn, which was quite good. It had its own courtyard, and the environment was elegant. Lin Feng rented one of the courtyards. Lin Feng said, "Today is a rare chance to relax. Let's go outside and relax tonight." Everyone cheered. They were usually busy cultivating, so it was rare for them to enter such a bustling city. Many people had been worried that Lin Feng would restrict their freedom. A disciple called Ma Yong said, "Northern Desolate City is very lively, and there are many fun places. I've been here before, so I can be your guide." Another disciple called Lu Gu said, "I heard there's a myriad flower building with an elegant environment. The women there are as beautiful as fairies, and they're proficient in the 6 arts. Many cultivators like to go there to cultivate their character. Why don't we go there as well? Lin Feng had heard of the myriad flower building before, as it could be found in many ancient cities. It had a large number of beauties, and it had good relations with many major powers. Of course, the myriad flower building wasn't a brothel. The women there sold their skills, not their bodies, said an inner disciple called Emo Yuning. The price of the Wanhua building is very high. I'm afraid that we'll have to spend over 1,000 high-class spiritual stones. I'm afraid that with our wealth, we won't be able to afford that. This Emo Yuning was not simple at all. He was a genius of the sect, and it was said that he had comprehended spirit. It would not be an exaggeration to say that he was a genius. At this time, a female disciple with an enchanting figure named Wu Xiuer sighed and said, "Although we are disciples of large sects and seem to be well off, in fact, only we know that we are poor. Senior Martial Sister Wu, you, Senior Martial Brother Emo, Senior Martial Brother Lu, and Senior Martial Brother Ma are all disciples that the 4 extreme peaks have focused on nurturing. How can you not have savings? Who doesn't know that the 4 extremes peak is one of the richest peaks? Junior Brother Wang, that's why I said that although it looks impressive, it's actually very poor." Wu Xiuer said. Lin Feng smiled and said, "I'll treat everyone tonight. Let's have a good time." Senior Brother Lin, you're the best. Long live Junior Brother Lin. The group of disciples immediately cheered. Clearly, they all wanted to go to a high-end place like the Myriad Flower Building to broaden their horizons. The Myriad Flower Building was very lively. It was a place where many cultivators liked to spend their money. When Lin Feng's group arrived, a beautiful woman walked over with a smile. She was clearly very perceptive, and she could tell at a glance that Lin Feng was the leader of this group. She smiled and said, "Young masters and young ladies, is this your first time visiting the Myriad Flower Building?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "I heard that the Myriad Flower Building is very special. We passed by this place, so we came to take a look. May I know which sect you are from, young master?" The woman asked with a charming smile. "We're elite disciples from the Blue Cloud sect," Lu Gu said proudly. Many people looked at him in surprise. The Blue Cloud sect was one of the 4 great sects of the Wasteland region. The Blue Cloud sect's disciples were naturally regarded highly in the Wasteland region. The woman showed a respectful expression and said, "So you're disciples from the Blue Cloud sect? Please take a seat in the VIP room on the 3rd floor." Lu Gu and the others looked very pleased. Being an elite disciple of the Blue Cloud sect was indeed very useful. He really enjoyed the feeling of being envied by the surrounding people. "Thank you." Lin Feng thanked her and walked towards the VIP room on the 3rd floor with the woman. The VIP room on the 3rd floor was very luxurious. There were all kinds of precious calligraphy and paintings, as well as antiques. Even the tables were made of 1,000-year-old redwood, which was a precious material that could be used to forge treasured weapons. From this, one could see that the Myriad Flower Building's reputation was not without reason. Lin Feng ordered some fine wine, some medicinal herbs, and 10 dancers and singers. The woman smiled and left. Soon, fine wine and dishes were served, and the dancers and singers arrived as well. The women nurtured by the Myriad Flower Building all had enchanting figures and peerless appearances. The sound of Guqin whistling through the air was very pleasant to the ears. Even if one did not know much about music, one could still feel intoxicated by the music. It was like having one's body caressed by one's lover. It was a warm feeling. One beautiful dancer after another gracefully danced, looking like fairies descending from the 9 heavens. Many male disciples were stunned. Chapter 625. The Myriad Flower Building was bustling with noise and excitement. It was a place where many cultivators liked to spend their money. When Lin Feng's group arrived, a beautiful woman walked over with a smile. She was very perceptive and could tell that Lin Feng was the leader of the group. She smiled and said, "Young masters and young ladies, is this your first time visiting our Myriad Flower Building?" Lin Feng nodded and replied, "I heard that the Myriad Flower Building is very special. We were passing by and decided to come take a look. May I know which sect you are from, young master?" she asked with a charming smile. "We're elite inner disciples from the Blue Cloud sect," Lu Gu replied proudly. Many people looked at him in surprise. The Blue Cloud sect was one of the 4 great sects of the Wasteland, so the Blue Cloud sect's disciples were naturally highly regarded in the Wasteland. The beautiful woman showed a respectful expression and said, "So you're disciples from the Blue Cloud sect? Please take a seat in the VIP room on the 3rd floor." Lu Gu and the others looked pleased. Being an elite inner disciple of the Blue Cloud sect was indeed very useful. He enjoyed the envious gazes of the people around him. "Thank you." Lin Feng thanked her and headed to the VIP room on the 3rd floor with the beautiful woman. The VIP room on the 3rd floor was very luxurious. There were all kinds of precious calligraphy and paintings, as well as antiques. Even the tables were made of 1,000-year-old mahogany, which was a precious material that could be used to forge treasured weapons. From this, it could be seen that the myriad flower building's reputation was not without reason. Lin Feng ordered some fine wine, some medicinal herbs, and 10 dancers and singers. The beautiful woman smiled and left. Soon, fine wine and dishes were served. The dancers and singers arrived as well. The women trained by the myriad flower building all had enchanting figures and beautiful appearances. The sound of zither music filled the air, and their voices were very pleasant to the ears. Even those who did not know much about music were mesmerized by the music. It was as if their lover was caressing their body. It was a warm feeling. Beautiful dancers danced gracefully, like fairies descending from the 9 heavens. Their movements were moving. Many male disciples were stunned. This was also human nature. These male disciples were all diligently cultivating in the sect, and they rarely had the chance to come into contact with so many beautiful and moving dancers. Seeing the charming appearance of these dancers dancing their delicate bodies, it was inevitable that some strange thoughts would arise in their minds. As the saying goes, a beauty's lair is a hero's mound. This sentence is not false at all. Beautiful women could even corrode the strong martial will of many cultivators. Looking at the beautiful dancers, Wu Xiao couldn't help but feel jealous. She lightly harumphed and walked outside. She went to the toilet, and there was a mirror there. She couldn't help but look at herself in the mirror. When she saw her beautiful face, she harumphed coldly. "A great beauty like me isn't any worse than them. Oh, this little girl isn't bad. She must be a virgin who just came to the 10,000 Flowers building, right? Come, let's go and have a few drinks together." A young man walked out of the men's restroom. When he saw Wu Xiaoer looking at herself in the mirror, his eyes lit up. He reached out and hugged Wu Xiaoer's delicate body. Then, he placed his hands on her plump breasts and started to knead them. Wu Xiaoer was so scared that her face turned pale. Stinky pervert. In a moment of desperation, Wu Xiaoer raised her right leg and fiercely kneed the young man's crotch. Ah! A miserable cry rang out. The young man's face turned the color of a pig's liver. He was in so much pain that his body twitched. He fell to the ground and started to tremble violently. Wu Xiaoer was so scared that she quickly returned to the pavilion. "Xiaoer, why do you look so pale? Are you all right?" Lu Gu asked when he saw Wu Xiaoer return. Lu Gu had been chasing Wu Xiaoer all this time, so he was very concerned about her. "I'm fine." Wu Xiaoer came back to her senses and smiled. "Young Master Qi, what happened to you?" A few cultivators ran out of the pavilion and saw the young man twitching on the ground. Their expressions changed, and they quickly ran over to help him up. The young man waved his hand and said, "Help me back to rest." They helped the young master back to the private room. The young man was called Qi Yiming, and he was a direct descendant of an ancient family. He had come to the northern desolate city of the desolate region because he was passing by and wanted to rest for a few days. "Young Master Qi, what happened?" In this private room, a middle-aged cultivator saw Qi Yiming and his expression changed slightly. Although Qi Yiming's talent wasn't good, and he had the air of a hedonistic young master, but Qi Yiming was still the son of an ancient powers patriarch, and his identity was there. The middle-aged man was called Li Yanlong, and he was the leader of the Flame Dragon Gang. The Flame Dragon Gang was one of the 3 biggest gangs in the northern desolate city. They controlled many underground businesses and were not to be underestimated. It was said that Li Yanlong was able to develop the Flame Dragon Gang because he met a benefactor in his early years. That benefactor was an elder of the Tsang Prefecture's Qi clan. Qi Yiming said gloomily, I just saw a girl. I thought she was from the Myriad Flower Building because she was dressed so beautifully, so I touched her but a few times. I didn't expect her to bump into me. Qi Yiming took a deep breath as he spoke, and his face turned pale. Oh, something like that happened? How dare someone hit my, Li Yanlong's, guest? I won't let this matter rest. Li Yanlong's expression was gloomy. Qi Yiming said, let's just forget about it. I don't know who she is, and I was just passing by. There's no need to make things worse. Li Yanlong smiled and said, young Master Qi, have you heard of the saying, even a powerful dragon can't suppress a local snake? Qi Yiming nodded. He naturally understood this saying. Li Yanlong was a local snake in the northern desolate city. At that moment, Qi Yiming was tempted. Young Master Qi, since you've taken a fancy to that girl, she'll definitely lie on the bed and let you enjoy her. Li Yanlong said confidently. That's great. Qi Yiming couldn't help but rub his hands together excitedly. When he thought of Wu Xiaoer's alluring figure and flirtatious temperament, he couldn't help but feel aroused. Young Master Qi, did you see which room that girl ran to? Li Yanlong asked. The third room on the left. Qi Yiming said. Jin Fan, bring that girl here. Li Yanlong said indifferently. Yes, gang leader. Immediately, a beefy cultivator stepped forward, leading tens of cultivators with him as he walked out. I'll go take a look too. Qi Yiming stood up and followed. They arrived at the room where Lin Feng and the others were. With a bang, the door of the room was smashed. Then, a group of people rushed out. Seeing such a group of ferocious people rushing in, the singers and dancers screamed in fright. Lin Feng and the others frowned, not understanding what was going on. Who are you? How dare you barge into our place? We're disciples of the Blue Cloud sect. Are you blind? Ma Yong walked forward and scolded coldly. Slap. However, the cultivator called Jin Fan went forward and slapped Ma Yong's face, sending him flying more than 10 meters away. With a plop, Ma Yong fell to the ground. Bah, so what if you're from the Blue Cloud sect? This is the northern desolate city, not the territory of the Blue Cloud sect. A martial king kid dares to show off in front of me? You're courting death. The cultivator called Jin Fan spat and sneered. Chapter 626. That's the woman. Qi Yiming saw Wu Xiaoer and pointed at her. Take her away. Jin Fan waved his hand. Yes. Two cultivators immediately rushed towards Wu Xiaoer. What are you doing? We're disciples of the Blue Cloud sect. How dare you touch us? Do you want to die? Wu Xiaoer screamed. Wu Xiaoer was scared out of her wits. Ma Yong had just introduced himself, but he was still sent flying with a slap. Obviously, they didn't care about the name of the Blue Cloud sect. After all, the northern desolate city wasn't part of the Blue Cloud sect's territory. In the northern desolate city, even if you're a dragon, you'll have to coil up. Even if you're a tiger, you'll have to lie down. Jin Fan sneered. Let's see if you dare to attack. In the desolate region, there are actually people who dare to attack the disciples of the Blue Cloud sect. You're simply courting death. Lu Gu jumped up and stood in front of Wu Xiaoer. At this time, Lu Gu wanted to show off in front of Wu Xiaoer. Maybe Wu Xiaoer would agree to be his woman after seeing how brave he was. Thinking of this, Lu Gu immediately became spirited and swung his right fist at the two cultivators. You're courting death. The two cultivators' expressions were cold as they charged at Lu Gu from the left and right. Bang! The three of them fought fiercely. After one round, Lu Gu was sent flying by a punch and fell to the ground. His face was pale, and he coughed violently. He almost spat out a mouthful of blood. The expressions of the Blue Cloud sect's disciples changed greatly. These people were too fierce, and their strength was terrifying. Senior brother Emo, save me. Wu Xiaoer looked at Emo Yuning with a pale face. Emo Yuning stood up, looked at Jin Fan, and said, Brother, is there a misunderstanding? I'm Emo Yuning, and the Yuan family of the northern desolate city is my cousin. Can you give me some face? Let's make today's matter small, and let's not make a big deal out of it. Yuan family? Bah, a third or fourth-rate family is worthy of me giving face to. You're really courting death. Get lost, or I'll take care of you as well. Jin Fan looked coldly at Emo Yuning and could not help but curse. Mo Yuning's face darkened. He was furious that he had been slapped in the face. He looked coldly at Jin Fan and said, "Who are you? So arrogant? It's not a place where just anyone can jump around. Cats and dogs? You're simply courting death. You'll have to pay the price for your words." Jin Fan's eyes turned cold. He stepped forward and threw a punch at Mo Yuning. "Humph. I'll let you have a taste of this spirit I've comprehended." Mo Yuning sneered and leaped up. His fist was surrounded by a dazzling golden light. "Holy light of destruction." Mo Yuning shouted coldly and punched out. The golden light around his fist was the spirit that Mo Yuning had comprehended. This type of spirit was called the divine light of destruction. Its power was extremely shocking. Such power. Senior brother Mo Yuning should be able to defeat that guy, right? The disciples of the Blue Cloud sect discussed in low voices. "Humph, demon subduing Vajra palm." Jin Fan suddenly shouted, and the phantom of a mighty Vajra appeared behind him. The great strength Vajra was the guardian Vajra of the Tantric Buddhism. It was rumored that it possessed boundless strength and could shake the heavens and earth. Bang! The two of them collided fiercely. Everyone saw that Mo Yuning's light of destruction was shattered in an instant. Jin Fan's attack landed heavily on Mo Yuning's body. That powerful blow smashed Mo Yuning to the ground. Wow! Mo Yuning spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was extremely pale. One move. He couldn't even withstand a single blow. Seeing this scene, many disciples of the Blue Cloud sect turned pale with fright. "Break their legs and take the woman away," said Lin Feng. Jin Fan waved his hand. "No, save me, save me." Wu Xiu'er looked pleadingly at the disciples of the Blue Cloud sect. However, Mo Yuning couldn't even withstand a single blow from the other party. Who would dare to make a move? "Please forgive us, we were wrong." Ma Yong and Lu Gu begged. Mo Yuning looked gloomy and didn't say anything. His strength had been scattered, and he couldn't even get up from the ground. Yes, a few guards received the order and were about to attack. "Stop!" At that moment, a cold shout was heard. Everyone's gazes shifted over. It was Lin Feng. Wang Hu pulled Lin Feng back and said, "Junior brother Lin, don't be rash. These people are obviously local tyrants. We can't afford to offend them. Moreover, there's no need to help Mo Yuning, Wu Xiu'er, Lu Gu, and Ma Yong. They've been mocking and ridiculing you along the way. Why do you care about them?" Lin Feng said, "They're from the same sect after all. I can't just stand by and watch them die." Mo Yuning, Wu Xiu'er, Lu Gu, and Ma Yong had been constantly mocking and ridiculing Lin Feng, and Lin Feng had been very angry. But at that time, because they were from the same sect, they were going to live together for a long time and practice cultivation together. Lin Feng controlled his anger. But that didn't mean that Lin Feng didn't have a problem with the four of them. However, no matter how unhappy they were still from the same sect, and he was the leader. He couldn't just stand by and watch his fellow disciples get humiliated. Jin Fan looked coldly at Lin Feng, and a look of disdain appeared on his face. "Kid, you want to stand up for them? You brought so many people here to cause trouble, and I still don't understand what happened," Jin Fan said. He looked at Wu Xiu'er, who was pale with fright, and asked, "Tell me, what happened?" Wu Xiu'er pointed at Qi Yiming and said, "He was the one who molested me, so I kicked him." "Damn it, bitch. Do you think it was as simple as kicking me? You almost crippled me," Qi Yiming cursed viciously. Lin Feng looked indifferently at Qi Yiming and said, "Aren't you fine? What do you mean crippled? You were the one who started this, so let's both take a step back. How about it?" Jin Fan sneered. "Kid, who do you think you are? How dare you jump out and negotiate with me? Cripple this brat." "Yes, sir." As soon as Jin Fan finished speaking, a guard rushed towards Lin Feng. "Junior brother Lin, be careful." Many Blue Cloud sect disciples shouted with pale faces. They had seen how terrifying these disciples were before. Lu Ji's strength was considered very strong, but in front of these cultivators, he had no power to resist. Boom! The cultivator who attacked was vicious and merciless, and he directly attacked Lin Feng's chest. "What kind of dog is this? How dare you attack me? Get out of my way." Lin Feng's eyes turned cold, and he couldn't help but shout. A powerful aura emanated from Lin Feng's body. Bang! The cultivator who rushed towards Lin Feng couldn't withstand the powerful aura emanating from Lin Feng. He was sent flying, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 627. How is this possible? Junior brother Lin is actually so strong? Just his aura alone was enough to make an expert vomit blood? Heavens, junior brother Lin is too strong. No wonder junior brother Lin can become the leader. Previously, Lu Gu, Wu Xiuer, and the others mocked and ridiculed junior brother Lin, saying that junior brother Lin only became the leader because he got in through the back door and relied on Guo Xiao to replace Mo Yuning's position. Now, it seems that Lu Gu, Wu Xiuer, and the others were just spouting nonsense. Even Mo Yuning is far inferior to junior brother Lin, right? That's right, junior brother Lin really hid his strength well. Previously, when I saw junior brother Lin enduring Lu Gu, Wu Xiuer, and the others again and again, I thought that junior brother Lin had a weak personality. Now, it seems that I was completely wrong. Yeah, it's obvious that junior brother Lin is magnanimous and doesn't want to bicker with them. Discussions broke out everywhere. Only now did the disciples of the Blue Cloud sect realize how strong and terrifying Lin Feng was. Wu Xiuer, Lu Gu, and Ma Yong were all in disbelief. Then, they felt a lingering fear. The person they had mocked and ridiculed back then was actually so terrifying. Thinking back to how they had slandered Lin Feng back then, the three of them felt a chill run down their spines. Mo Yuning, on the other hand, had a bitter smile on his face. He had always thought that he was the strongest person in the group and that Lin Feng could become the leader because Guo Xiao had replaced him. Only now did Mo Yuning realize how wrong he had been and how ignorant he had been. In fact, Guo Xiao had only mentioned Lin Feng to Grand Elder Guo Yin. During this time, Grand Elder Guo Yin had been secretly investigating Lin Feng. He wanted to see if the Lin Feng on the Heaven and Earth rankings was the new inner sect disciple Lin Feng. After some investigation, he was shocked to find that Lin Feng, who was on the Heaven and Earth board, was Lin Feng, who had just entered the inner sect. That was why Lin Feng was appointed as the team leader. However, others naturally didn't know about it. They all knew that it was Lin Feng who got the position by sucking up to Guo Xiao. When Guo Xiao first found out that Lin Feng was the team leader, he wasn't surprised at all because he knew how terrifying Lin Feng was. He believed that his father, Grand Elder Guo Yin, would know as well. Brat, you have some ability. No wonder you dared to stand out. But do you think you can save these people with your strength? Jin Fan stared coldly at Lin Feng with a sinister look in his eyes. Many people had already heard of the conflict and gathered around to watch. They were all pointing and gossiping. Interesting. I wonder if this person doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Or is he really that capable? A white-clothed woman with a veil over her face stood not far away and looked over. Holy Virgin, should we stop them? A beautiful woman asked. Why should we stop them? I'm bored and want to watch a good show. The white-clothed woman smiled. The beautiful woman could only smile bitterly. Get out. Lin Feng looked coldly at Jin Fan. Silence. When Lin Feng said, get out, the third floor, which had been quite lively, suddenly became so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. That brat told Jin Fan to get out? Is that brat crazy? How dare he provoke Jin Fan like that? He's courting death. Many people started talking about it. Jin Fan was a favorite of the Flame Dragon Gang's Li Yanlong. He was quite famous in northern Desolate City. It was rumored that Jin Fan had cultivated with a monk in his early years, so he had learned many powerful Buddhist techniques. Although he hadn't broken through to the yin-yang realm yet, he had already comprehended its spirit. It was only a matter of time before he broke through to the yin-yang realm. Brat, you're courting death. Do you think I won't dare kill you? Jin Fan's face was contorted and filled with killing intent. I don't care if you're a disciple of the Blue Cloud sect or not. If you provoke me, I'll kill you. As soon as he finished speaking, Jin Fan's huge body leaped up. Vajra subduing demon punch, shouted Jin Fan furiously. A terrifying chi emerged from his body. He looked like a furious Vajra as he threw himself at Lin Feng. He threw a punch at Lin Feng. Sonic booms filled the air. Many people felt the aura from Jin Fan's body and their faces turned pale. They were forced to retreat by the terrifying aura. How terrifying! Jean Fan won't kill that brat with one punch, will he? Shouted many people in astonishment. Mo Yuning knew how terrifying Jean Fan was. He had used his spirit, but he hadn't been able to defeat Jean Fan. Jean Fan's cultivation level had already surpassed that of a martial king. Even though Jean Fan hadn't really broken through to the Yin Yang realm, he could still kill martial kings. If there was a name for Jean Fan's cultivation level, it would be the half Yin Yang realm. It meant that he was only half a step away from becoming a Yin Yang realm cultivator. Such a cultivation level was terrifying. The Blue Cloud sect's disciples looked at Jean Fan with pale faces. Jean Fan's chi was too terrifying. Everyone felt like they were suffocating. Even though Lin Feng had shown how strong he was a moment ago, he was still very strong. However, the cultivator who had attacked Lin Feng was only a 9th celestial layer martial king. He couldn't be considered a peerless expert. Jean Fan could kill such a cultivator with one hand. Who could say for sure that they could defeat an expert like Jean Fan? Junior brother Lin, be careful, shouted Shiweizhu, her face pale. Jean Fan's punch was about to hit Lin Feng. At that moment, Lin Feng threw a punch at Jean Fan. He's going to meet force with force? This kid is courting death. He's actually going to meet force with force with force. Many of the onlookers cried out in alarm. They looked at Lin Feng as if he were a dead man. At that moment, Lin Feng and Jean Fan collided. Everyone saw that Lin Feng's subduing demon light, which had condensed from Jean Fan's subduing Vajrapalm, was instantly destroyed by Lin Feng's punch. Lin Feng's punch landed on Jean Fan's body and sent him flying. Lin Feng's body shot up into the air. He raised his right leg high and lashed out at Jean Fan like a whip. Bang! A loud sound rang out. It was as if he had been smashed by a giant hammer. Lin Feng's attack landed on Jean Fan's body. Jean Fan's body fell to the ground like a cannonball. There was a rumbling sound. A huge hole appeared on the floor of the pavilion on the 3rd floor, and Jean Fan fell directly to the 2nd floor. Screams came from the 2nd floor. Too strong. Many people felt their souls tremble violently. Jean Fan was a half-step Yin Yang realm cultivator, but he couldn't even take a single attack. Chapter 628. It's Jean Fan. Someone on the 2nd floor exclaimed as he recognized Jean Fan. Jean Fan from the Flame Dragon sect? Yes, it's him. Heavens! Who's so strong? How did he beat Jean Fan up? Cries of surprise rang out one after another. Everyone's faces were filled with shock. Jean Fan got up from the ground and roared angrily. He had been beaten up from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor. He had never suffered such a loss before. He was furious and jumped up to the 3rd floor. Many people saw Jean Fan's twisted face and knew that he was completely enraged. Boy, you're strong. You're already qualified for me to use the spirit I've comprehended. Jean Fan smiled ferociously. Spirit? Is Jean Fan going to use his spirit? Hurry up and move back. Jean Fan's spirit is a very strange spirit. If you get too close, you might become his slave. The cultivators who were watching seemed to know what Jean Fan's spirit was. When they heard that Jean Fan was going to use his spirit, they quickly backed off, their faces pale. Lin Feng was very surprised. What was Jean Fan's spirit? Lin Feng glanced at Wang Hu and the others and said, "Help Mo Yuning and the others up. You guys step back." "Yes, sir." Wang Hu was reluctant, but he wouldn't disobey Lin Feng. He waved his hand and helped Mo Yuning, Lu Gu, and Ma Yong up. They were all injured. Wu Xiu'er was still trembling. She was worried that if Lin Feng couldn't stop these people, she wouldn't have a good ending. When they saw them, many disciples of the Blue Cloud sect snorted coldly. They thought Wu Xiu'er and the others were useless, but they still mocked and ridiculed Lin Feng and caused trouble. If it hadn't been for them, the party would have been a happy one. Now that things had turned out this way, it was hard to say whether they would be able to leave Northern Wasteland City safely. After all, their opponents were the local tyrants of Northern Wasteland City. Merciful and merciful, infinite Moke. At this moment, Jean Fan began to activate the spirit that he had mastered. The surface of Jean Fan's body shone with a dazzling golden light. Buddha's light. Lin Feng was shocked. That golden light was actually Buddhist light. That's right. It's the Buddha's light. When I was 7 years old, I was enlightened by an old monk and obtained an opportunity to cultivate the secret techniques of the Buddhist sect. Later on, I comprehended the infinite moke and murmured Amitabha. Jean Fan suddenly put his palms together and sat down cross-legged. Buddhist light enveloped his body, making him look like an enlightened monk. Lin Feng frowned and looked at Jean Fan. He didn't know what Jean Fan was thinking. However, Lin Feng guessed that it had something to do with Buddha. Suddenly, golden light burst out from Jean Fan's body. The golden light intertwined in the void and condensed into a golden celestial body. An old monk wearing a golden kasaya appeared in Lin Feng's line of sight. Benefactor, your murderous intent is too strong. Amitabha. Benefactor, please put down your butcher's knife and become a Buddha. The old monk put his palms together and golden Buddha's light surged out. The old monk was like the incarnation of Buddha. His words were like the words of the great path of heaven and earth. I'm willing to convert to Buddhism. Some people who were closer to Jean Fan actually sat down cross-legged and put their palms together. They looked pious, as if they had seen through the world of mortals and wanted to become monks. When they saw this, many people paled and hurriedly retreated. I want to convert to Buddhism too. Some of the Blue Cloud sect's disciples even looked pious, wanting to convert. Lin Feng's expression suddenly changed, and he shouted, "Get out of here! Don't come any closer." Shi Weizhu and the others turned pale. Wang Hu didn't hesitate and knocked out a few of the affected disciples. Then, he destroyed one of the walls of the pavilion and retreated from the side. So he wants to enslave other people's souls. Aren't Buddhas kind? Why would he do something so infuriating? Lin Feng looked coldly at Jean Fan. He could sense a strange energy invading his spiritual world, trying to enslave his soul. This was the so-called Great Mercy, Infinite Moke. It was a strange spirit. However, Lin Feng couldn't see any so-called mercy from this spirit. Instead, he felt endless evil. Even if he killed someone, his body and Tao would vanish, and everything would return to nothingness. It was still much kinder than controlling someone's soul and enslaving them. Lin Feng was enslaved, and his life was worse than death. Amitabha. Good. Benefactor, your demonic thoughts are deep, and the sea of bitterness is boundless. Repent, and the shore is at hand. The old monk continued to put his palms together, looking merciful. Lin Feng became a great demon after a few words from the old monk. An even more terrifying energy surged out and enveloped Lin Feng, trying to enslave his soul. Many people watched this scene with pale faces. Everyone's heart was filled with fear. The unknown was the most terrifying, just like what was happening before their eyes. This kind of spirit that could enslave other people's souls. Lin Feng walked towards Jean Fan step by step. Many people were shocked to see Lin Feng take the initiative to rush towards Jean Fan. Is that kid crazy? The closer he gets to Jean Fan, the stronger the soul-enslaving power becomes. Does he want to be enslaved? He's crazy. He must be completely crazy. That kid will definitely be enslaved by Jean Fan and become his soul. Many people were shouting. However, they soon realized that Lin Feng wasn't being enslaved. Instead, he had arrived beside Jean Fan. Did he manage to resist the power that enslaved the souls of others? Many people were shocked. How had he resisted such a terrifying power? These people naturally didn't know how powerful Lin Feng's soul was. Resisting Jean Fan's attack wasn't a simple matter. Jean Fan's expression changed when he saw Lin Feng arrive beside him. You want to enslave me? You're courting death. Lin Feng sneered and threw a punch at Jean Fan. Bang! The punch landed heavily on Jean Fan's chest. Crack, crack. Jean Fan's chest caved in, and he coughed up blood. Lin Feng raised his foot and threw a kick at Jean Fan. Jean Fan's body was about to be crushed. Suddenly, a furious shout rang out. Bastard, you're courting death. Bang! The door of a private room exploded, and an old man rushed out, sending a palm strike at Lin Feng. The terrifying aura felt like it could destroy heaven and earth. Many people's souls trembled when they sensed the old man's aura. A yin-yang realm expert. Many cultivators cried out in shock. If a yin-yang realm expert attacked, Wouldn't that blue cloud sect disciple die without a doubt? Everyone looked at Lin Feng. They had the impression that Lin Feng was going to be killed by the old man of the yin-yang lair. There's a blade in my heart. Facing the old man's attack, Lin Feng stepped forward and raised his right hand. With a light wave, 100-meter-long blade condensed and shot towards the old man.